imported into the north of Ireland by unionist paramilitaries supported by British state agents. Those two weapons were used in other murders. There's just so many elements to this, but the Fullerton family are absolutely vindicated, and it's time for the British government to admit now their central role in the conflict in our island.
It appears a Green Mountain bike believed to be linked with the death of Aisling Murphy is now central to Garda inquiries. A man who was arrested yesterday in relation to the 23-year-old's death has been released and is no longer a suspect. Officers have renewed their appeal for witnesses and for anyone with information in relation to the bike to come forward. Reporter with Independent News and Media, Conor Feehan, says the person who killed Aisling is still at large.
The 40-year-old man who had been arrested within an hour of Aisling's murder was released, and they were very specific and wanted to stress that he was no longer a suspect in this case. So what we have is a situation where the person who killed Aisling is still out there and has been out there since this incident.
Well, a number of vigils are being held across the country today in memory of the teacher. Among them will be events outside the Dáil in Dublin and in Tullamore at 4 p.m. A vigil organised by the Irish Music Organisation will take place in Omagh this evening. Aisling was a member of Tyrone-based the Blackwater Ceilidh Band. The vigil will take place at 6 p.m. in the Dunula Cultural Heritage Centre. And finally, people who test positive on an antigen test can upload their result to the HSE website from today. Details of their close contacts can also be provided via the portal. However, anyone looking to get a recovery cert will need a PCR or professional antigen test. New close contact rules also mean anyone with a booster and no symptoms no longer needs to isolate, while the isolation time frame for a vaccinated person who contracts COVID has been cut to 7 days. Weather now, any mist will clear this morning and it will be largely dry with isolated patches of drizzle and highest temperatures today of 6 to 8 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with news again at 10 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
I'm Lorraine Keane and I hate feeling tired and hormonal. Yet that's exactly how I felt when my perimenopause started in my late 30s. For nutritional support, I chose Irish supplement Clean Marine Menamin. Why? Because Menamin contains omega-3, vitamin D and also vitamin B6, which contributes to the regulation of hormonal activity and helps reduce tiredness. All in just 2 capsules a day. Ask for Menamin at health stores and pharmacies or learn more at cleanmarine.ie. I'm glad I did.
The 9 till noon show brought to you by Kelly's Toyota, Port Road, Letterkenny. Explore our wide range of virtual tools at kellystoyota.com.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Good morning to you. It's 4 minutes past 9 this Friday the 14th of January, and I hope you're well. You're welcome along to another edition of the 9 till Noon Show. It's Friday, so our Friday panel will be introduced to you very shortly. People, we of course want your views, your comments to 086 60 25,000, 086 60 25,000, your WhatsApps or texts to that number, or if you want to give us a call and get involved in the conversation, it's 07491 25,000. Between 10 and 11 we'll have extensive coverage of that publication as it relates to the murder of Eddie Fullerton. That's between 10 and 11, or much of it. And after 11 o'clock, Micheal and Fionnuala will be joining us to talk all things entertainment. I did hear Michaela reference vigils being held around the country to mark the awful murder of Aisling Murphy. Now, I do know there are at least 2 organised for County Donegal or the wider Northwest region. If you're involved in that and you want me to mention when and where it's happening, get in touch with us and we're more than happy to announce that for you. I know certainly there's one in Ardra and one other location, but if they're happening anywhere and it would be helpful to you for us to publicise where they're happening, please get in touch and we'll do that for you. 086 60 25,000. Right, it is time to welcome onto the programme our Friday panel. We'll say good morning first to Councillor Paul Canning of Fianna Fáil. Good morning to you, Paul. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, good morning.
It's good to have you with us. Declan Jordan, the Peace Commissioner, is also with us. Declan, how are you keeping?
Hey, Greg, good morning.
And thank you for joining us. And Dr. Marie Hainsworth, Manager of the Donegal Domestic Violence Services. Dr. Marie, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning to everyone.
I might start with you because, people were shocked enough at the awful, brutal murder of a wonderful young person, by all accounts, Aisling Murphy, a school teacher. The 23-year-old was killed on Wednesday afternoon while out jogging in broad daylight along the Grand Canal in Tullamore, County Offaly. There was some, in an incredible dark situation, some encouragement that perhaps the person responsible had been quickly apprehended. Gardaí did arrest a man who was questioned for a couple of days late last night or late last evening. He was released without charge, no longer a suspect. He was released. The information was relayed by way of a press release, and I would have thought that would have been better with a press conference, personally speaking, where Gardaí perhaps could have assured those who are very worried that they're very actively investigating it, which I know they are. It just felt a little cold to me that it was done by way of a written press release. I think it certainly would have justified something of an address or a press conference to the media that could have been relayed to the public. But anyway, I want to start with you, as I have, Dr. Marie Hainsworth. We've talked so many times, about violence against women by men, and this is where it all leads to. This is what happens when we don't properly deal with, a problem among men, and it's not all men, by the way, so there's no point getting defensive, but every man has a responsibility. This is ultimately what very tragically can happen.
It is indeed, yeah, and it's not all men, but it is, as you said, it's all women who are affected, because we don't know which men are out there are the ones that are likely to cause an attack. And I suppose that the experience at the moment, what you're seeing is an outpouring of grief, particularly amongst women, as they kind of grapple with the fact that it does bring up for them a lot of issues that they face every day in terms of having to constantly assess their own safety and the decisions that they make, and just the level of stress that women tend to be under generally in terms of managing and monitoring their own environment. And it does raise that issue of equality, as a lot of men are aware. They don't have to go through the same process. And I suppose this is a call in terms of, in this moment of grief, to try and, unite men and women around looking at the issue and to actually hear it, to actually have a conversation. What does it mean for women to feel unsafe? And let's not get defensive. Let's not kind of put it on the other, or to demonize just individuals and say that it's not a societal problem. Like, where do these people who actually perpetrate very violent acts, where do they get the messages from that it's okay to do this? And we all have a responsibility around addressing that. So it is an opportunity. I know it's a very traumatic time, and I know a lot of people are going to be just very concerned about their own kind of safety in these situations, because, Tullamore, it could be anywhere. It could be Donegal.
And also, too, we have to keep in mind, well, firstly, and it was related to me when I shared the news last evening, that instantly there was the fear. The fear was exacerbated again by whoever is responsible for this is out potentially walking the streets. Also, people, primarily women, who had previously been the victim of assault, or had previously felt intimidated, or had previously felt unsafe walking down the street. All of those emotions brought back to the fore again. This has a big impact on a lot of people on a lot of different levels, Marie.
It does, and it's important as well, I think, that we don't, at this point in time, most women who experience an attack, it tends to be somebody that they know. So in terms of demonizing perpetrators and putting them out there as being extreme examples is not helpful at this moment, particularly at this moment, because now we are looking for who the real perpetrator is, and that's somebody that's known to somebody. And we don't make friends with monsters and perpetrators. We make friends with people. So we need, at the moment, that people can understand perpetrators look like ordinary people. They interact like ordinary people. And we need them to be able to connect to this if we're going to be able to assess risk properly, and if people who do know this perpetrator are going to come forward and give evidence. So, there's a whole conversation here around how we need to just really step into that area of talking about violence without trying to alienate people, and without trying to, protect ourselves by making out that it's something that only happens to certain people, or it only happens by certain people.
Declan Jordan, there is a lot of people out there, and you'll see it, and we might get the text, and that's fine. Everyone's entitled to their point of view, that will immediately become defensive, that to feel this is an attack on all men. But if 1% of men are capable of this type of action, it's up to the 99% of men, is it not, to sort of say, well, we have to discourage or educate or try and stop it. And what that means is that we have women don't fear all men for fear they don't know which man is the 1% of the men that are capable of doing that. I know it's kind of a convoluted way of putting it, Declan, but that's the type of conversations we need to be having now.
Yeah, I think whoever is coming out with them type of comments are quite very narrow-minded at the minute, because at the minute it's so fresh. A young lady has lost her life in such sad circumstances, and that's what we should be talking about at the minute. We shouldn't be talking about the other narrow-minded people, and I'm not going to really waste my time on it. This is, we're all guilty of it.
But with respect, I'm not contradicting you, Declan, but it's that attitude is what allows this to continue. We can't not talk about that, because if we don't talk about that, then we're not talking about the space that allows people to justify it or excuse it or to be defensive of it and not actually talk about it. We're still retaining it. Mm-hmm. We're back at square one.
We were all guilty of, through all our life, that may our sister, our partner, our cousin, or our niece that's a female, that we don't want them walking alone. And why should we feel like that, or why should that female feel like that? They should feel safe to walk anywhere in their towns, their cities, or their counties. This has been a problem, and I took the stealing fact checks from Micheal and Fionnuala on the TV recently, that 242 women have been killed by men since 1996. Like, this has been, we talk about the COVID pandemic, that's a pandemic itself. This is something that needs to be addressed within our justice system, within our policing, and that's what should be talked about. A woman has lost her life, and we need to figure out how we're going to fix this. Of course, it's not all men, but I don't think that's a discussion for now. I think it's trying to find a solution to the problem that we have. And I think it overlaps into a lot of different other issues within our system and how we police it, you know.
What do you think, Paul Canning?
Yeah, listen, I totally agree. It's terrible. A young girl getting killed the way she got killed at 4 o'clock daylight in Tullamore, doing what every girl wants to do out for a jog, and it's very sad that we're at that level. What Marie's hit the nail on the head with a lot of her comments, and she's, as the man says, better equipped than us to know what is actually going on. The situation with it is, we seriously need to take a look at ourselves, at the structures that we have in place in relation to dealing with domestic violence. And those structures, as much as we say, oh, we're doing this, we're doing that, and you see the news today, I think Leo Varadkar on about zero tolerance for violence against women. You know, it's all right, the talk's cheaply, but you know, from experience, and Marie, again, the situation we have here in this county and this country is there is domestic violence against women going on every day of the week. But the problem is the situation that those people find themselves in is they can't get out. They look at avenues, they see themselves, they see their children involved, and they're in a house that there's mortgages. When they move out or where they go elsewhere, we don't have the proper support for those people, and that's where we need to start. You know, we can talk, and it's too bad that it takes the death of a young girl to bring this conversation to the fore again. But it's been waved over a lot of the time. And I would say, again, I'm referring to Marie a lot, but I would say Marie and her that network that she has is frustrated with the lack of support that they're getting.
Well, Marie, in relation to that, you know, if your services aren't fully resourced and supported as they should be by government and agencies of the government and others right around the country, well then, to me, it feels like any commentary is welcome, don't get me wrong, but it rings a little bit hollow, because if we recognise this to be the very, very serious problem that it is, resources and supports for the likes of the Donegal Domestic Violence Services and other great agencies that support women in abusive situations, well, money wouldn't be an option. We'd be shaking the same tree we shook for COVID to make sure that everything is done to address this issue.
Absolutely. And the other area that we really don't invest in is the whole work that we do with perpetrators and our understanding of violence. Because, what part of the work that we do with victims, as well as supporting them, is also we're building up a profile and understanding of what behaviors kind of cause violence and what is the escalation pattern, so that we know, that which men in society are at risk. And therefore, mostly with domestic abuse, we know who the victim is as well. But in order to build up that understanding, the government needs to invest more in those programs. There's no perpetrator programs for domestic violence in Donegal. So that's one area they need to invest in. There's very little and lack of housing, as the councillor was suggesting there. So in terms of access routes and escape routes, there's very little. And most of the time, statistically, most women will experience domestic homicide within a domestic environment. It is very unusual. And we still don't know the situation here, whether there was a connection between the perpetrator and the victim. So we're back to square one in terms of that. So it's understandable that there's a heightened sense of fear, but the reality is for most women, the fear of homicide actually comes from within an environment with somebody that they know.
Yes, of course. And this, what happened to Aisling is unimaginable. But we hear stories in this programme and other programmes all the time that it's comments. It can also be just comments on the street. It can be, something that might happen in a club. We've covered extensively in this programme that some people, men, seem to think it's okay to inject women or to doctor with their drinks. Or to touch them inappropriately, as I say, in a public setting or whatever. Obviously what happened to Aisling is just the absolute worst. But there's very few women listening to this programme today over the course of their life, I'm sure, that haven't encountered some situation that has made them feel very, very uncomfortable. And perhaps many have just shrugged their shoulders and said, that's just the way it is. We can't live like that, can we?
No, and all men have been exposed to that environment as well. They've witnessed it. They've seen others, make comments. They've been involved in making comments. It is a societal issue. It affects everybody. It's not that some people live exposed to that and some don't. All women will give you stories of feeling unsafe, times where they've, had to rethink things, that they've been really concerned about whether they'll get out of a situation unharmed. But the other thing is we need to understand the minds of men who do go to this extreme level of violence, because without that knowledge, we can't make the links back to know what it is that's giving them that message that it's okay to be violent. So at the moment, we're speculating in terms of all these things in society causing the violence, but we don't know. We're not prepared to sit down and actually have these hard conversations. And I know it's not for everybody, but there are professionals who work in this area, who work in the violence sector, same as myself, where it is their job. And we do need to develop a better understanding of how violent men work, what it is that motivates them, where do they get these messages from, so we can actually target that sector of society then to change those messages.
But where do you start then, though? Because, we need to find a starting point and work on that, because whilst we're, talking about looking at it, not you and I, you know what I mean?
One of the statistics you said there was the number of women who've been murdered in homicides in Ireland. There's no shortage of homicides occurring that can be reviewed. And at the moment, this country doesn't do domestic homicide reviews. We could learn a lot from that. It's not about blaming agencies and blaming people and saying, well, you knew this was going to happen, so why didn't you stop it? But we do need to sit down as a cross-agency group and look at what were the factors that led up to this situation. And hopefully, if we can get the perpetrator in Aisling's case, you'll be doing the same thing, that there needs to be a review of that homicide in terms of what happened, why was this perpetrator in the community clearly unsafe, and people knew about it. There has to be a prior history of violence with this person, because, homicide is not a first thing, it's not a first crime. So somewhere along the line, where the family, friends, community, guards, other agencies have come across this perpetrator and have had concerns about the level of violence that he's displaying. So why did it get to this point? Why was it allowed to escalate? And the only way we can learn that is by doing reviews, and they have to be systematic, and they have to be supported by government.
All right. Okay, a caller says there's a vigil taking place at the Diamond in Correndonagh tonight at 8 p.m. in remembrance of Aisling Murphy. who was just out for a run. Ardra at the Diamond, there is a vigil taking place at 5 p.m. this evening. The Donegal Women's Centre on the 14th of January today. They'll be lighting candles at the centre at 4 p.m. You're invited to join them by placing a candle in the window of your home or business, and they'll be sharing photos with the tag Light Up for Aisling. A major vigil for Aisling Murphy has been organised by the Irish Music Organisation. It's taking place in Omagh this evening at 6 p.m. And there'll be... Yeah, okay. Right, I'll go through that. There's a few different things in there. I don't want to be giving out the wrong information. And finally, a caller says, next, I am the father, says this emailer. I'm the father of 4 young ladies aged 18 to 30. I'm so worried and angry, not only what has happened to Aisling, but what's happening in our young women, or to our young women. Before this murder, my girls were afraid to go out to bars or nightclubs because of spiking that involved being jagged involuntarily by a needle containing drugs in a social setting. Now, not only have they the fear of going out, they now have this murder on their minds when they go for their daily walk or run. I don't have the answer, but I do think that we've all got to be more vigilant and community responsible and adopt a zero tolerance attitude to any type of talk or actions that might make a girl feel uncomfortable or threatened. And, you know, Declan, that's where our role is, the man's role, and Paul, you know, that any of that type of behaviour that might seem like a joke or whatever, maybe that's, you know, daisy chains into creating a scenario where someone feels something like this is acceptable behaviour, Declan.
Yeah, that as again we'll touch on what Marie said, it's to find out, you know, for example, how this person that has murdered Aisling, how this person was in the community in the first place. You know, our population as a country is growing every single day. It's not the same as what it was 20 years ago, which is branches off into other things. You know, like there's a lot of addiction in our country now in regards to alcohol and drugs and other things. And not that that's an excuse, but it has to be taken into account. You know, so it branches off into everything, is just from domestic violence to addiction and to why this person may have been in the community in the first place. Because it's bound to have priors, and that rolls into our justice system, into our policing system, as to how we can work together to make this better. I feel like probably our justice system is probably under-resourced, and our policing system is probably still in the 20th century, unfortunately. And maybe that's something now that, if it's taken a death of a young girl, for these people to realise that, it's just unfortunate. And I'm lost for words that we're even talking about this today, and hopefully that this is an eye-opener for us as a country.
Right, finally, before we take a break and move on, we may come back to this. So, Marie, just to be clear from your perspective, as someone works obviously in the and manages the Donegal Domestic Violence Services, are you saying, just so I understand, that really we need to focus on the individuals and to find out, why they do this? And do you think, and this is a question, by the way, that it's less important to have a broader conversation, particularly amongst men in society, as to their general attitude towards women? Is it a bit of both? Is it one or other? Or did I make myself clear, Marie?
Yeah, no, and it is both. But I think there are two things here. One, as a society, we need to have these conversations. But as a government, we need to focus on the practical aspects that we can work with, because I think sometimes the government tends to fob this off and say, oh, it's a public awareness thing. It has to happen in schools, and we just kind of pay lip service to it. But they also have a responsibility. Like Declan was saying there, we do need to look at our legal system. What messages are we giving out when we look at sentencing in terms of perpetrators that do come before the courts? Because I see no end of cases where there is no sanction, it appears, for quite serious assaults, sexual assaults, certainly domestic violence, breaches of orders. Like, we have mechanisms in place that are supposed to keep women safe, and yet there are no consequences for perpetrators to break them. So what I'm saying is, yes, as a society we need to have, but it would be better if we were more informed in that conversation. If we had evidence, if we could actually say, look, this is what perpetrators are telling us, this is why they went out.
Yeah, but seeds have to be planted somewhere, surely. Like the way a father might speak to a partner in a house in front of young boys, for example. Access to pornography. what's acceptable behaviour at a school disco. I mean, is that not really also where we need to be looking at? Because obviously this attitude towards women and thinking it's okay to be violent towards women, the seeds are sown somewhere, aren't they?
Yeah, and it comes right down to early conversations around equality, around role plays, around gender stereotypes. Why do we expect girls to do this, boys to do that? Like, are we reinforcing from quite a very young age that there are different roles, that men have a right to do this, women have a right to do that, or not, as the case may be. So all those conversations are important, and even basic conversations around respect, respect for other people, regardless of culture, regardless of gender, regardless of how they want to engage in society, all of those. And a lot of those conversations are going to be happening before a child's even 5 years of age. So it's okay offloading the responsibility onto schools, but most children have picked up those messaging way before they even get into any school system. So yeah, there's a huge role there, not just for parents, but extended family as well. There's no point one person saying one message and then they witness and experience something very different. Yeah.
Okay.
There is a role for everybody.
Sorry, Marie. Thank you very much indeed. That was the voice of Dr. Marie Hainsworth. You're also hearing from Councillor Paul Canning and Peace Commissioner Declan Jordan. More from them and you, of course, as you listen and contribute to 086 60 25,000 or 07491 25,000 after this break.
The 9 till noon show brought to you by Kelly's Toyota, Port Road, Letterkenny. Explore our wide range of virtual tools at kellystoyota.com.
Inish Fitness Dunlow offer yoga, Pilates, circuits and women's only weight training class. To find out about their classes only membership, call in to Inish Fitness today.
At Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms, Donegal Town, their sale is now on. New 2022 collections now in stock with great offers across all ranges. See in store for details. Book a design consultation today on 074 9725822 or see cherrymore.ie. Cherrymore, excellence in manufacturing since 1996.
Do you need a little extra help staying in your home? At Bluebird Care, we offer a wide variety of QMark approved personalised home care services across Donegal. And our fully trained and committed staff will always meet your care needs with kindness, compassion and dignity. To get your personal home care assessment plan, visit bluebirdcare.ie or call our care team today on 07491 29562 and bring care home.
A public interest message from Donegal County Council. A recent EPA report estimated that around 1,300 people in Ireland die prematurely each year because of poor air quality, which in rural counties like Donegal is mainly caused by the burning of solid fuels for home heating, particularly over the winter months. To improve air quality and protect our health, you can make a difference by using low-smoke fuels in all areas of Donegal. In the low-smoke zone of Letterkenny, the burning of smoky coal is not permitted. Only low-smoke coal whose bags carry the wording approved fuel or the Swift 7 logo should be used. To access information on the air quality in Letterkenny, visit epa.ie. Donegal County Council, protecting the environment.
Mr. Blue Sky, Ireland's biggest ever lotto jackpot will be won. Yes, this Saturday, the €19 million lotto jackpot will be won. Guaranteed. Don't forget to play early. The National Lottery. It could be you. Play responsibly. Play for fun.
Highland Radio Time Checks, brought to you by Letterkenny Shopping Centre, the centre of shopping in Donegal. Free parking and shopping all under one roof. Letterkenny Shopping Centre, bringing you the time at...
The time is 9:30. A caller says, Donegal knows all too well there is no justice for violence against women. Just look at the man who shot dead a mother and daughter in Sligo. No one who commits these crimes should ever be free. Life needs to start meaning life. The solution, another caller believes, is greater government investment in resources, safe houses, education, more guard on our streets and tougher sentences for perpetrators. What we don't need are comments from the serial men haters who try to label all men as monsters. I mean, I'll ask any of the three of you, do you believe that anyone having this conversation is labelling all men as monsters? I don't get that. Maybe people, that's what they feel. Paul Canning, do you feel that this conversation is a man-hating conversation? I don't get that impression. I think it's recognising that there are some men.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't be, Greg, but in this country we tend to very quickly stigmatise certain scenarios, because automatically the four of us here this morning, and it's only natural, is taken for granted that this act was caused by a man. We don't know that, but it's just the way we think. But there's a rationale as to why we think this way, so it balances itself out. But that's, we already, everybody waking up today is automatically thinking this person is a 40-year-old male, even though that person has been released. But that thought is now in the heads of people. And then they're talking about a mountain bike, so automatically you have the thought of a 40-year-old cyclist. It's how we think, but no, there's no intent. If some people are taking it that it is heading in that direction, there's no intention by anybody to actually just name everybody in the one playing field.
No, I mean, I've consumed an awful lot of social media on this, and it really is not the impression I'm getting. Declan Jordan, though, I think, this issue, an incredibly important issue, it's very hard to discuss these issues now, not in what we're doing, but I think generally speaking, because people take such hardline positions nowadays. Every conversation, every discussion where you try and advance, everyone gets defensive, or a particular opinion on an issue is locked in with other opinions on other issues, and we seem to be getting, it feels to me sometimes like we're making less progress in trying to address issues or have conversations than we ever did.
Yeah, you're 100% right, Greg. It's as I said already, 242 women killed by men since 1996. It's not the other way around. It's actually quite similar to the Black Lives Matter movement. Whenever there was people coming out saying White Lives Matter, the problem, the house is on fire here on the woman, on the female side. They are getting attacked by men. The stats say that, and it's not that I'm blaming all men. As a male myself, I'm not, but the stats say different, and it's something that if we need to stand up and address quickly and now rather than later, because if it happens again, we're going to be stuck in the same place talking about the same things over and over again.
All right, lastly to you, Marie, on this one for now. One texter says, do we know it was a man? And if it is, had he mental health issues? And if he had, then the gender will be irrelevant. The disease is to blame. Okay, so that's deflecting, but arguably you could say that's deflecting it from being a male issue onto something else. And then another says pepper spray and stingers should be the same as America, which as well sort of doesn't address why this might be happening. It's saying it is happening, so here's some defences because it could happen to you. What is it? Is it just part of being humans that we try to sort of maybe look at other things other than what might actually be the problem or where the answer may lay?
I think there is an element of that, and I think it's also why you get a lot of defensiveness if it's not all men. It is a hard topic to look at in terms of what we need to study is violence and have conversations around violence. And then I think, if we've got a better understanding of what motivates violence, mental health, it can actually be quite a key factor in terms of looking at risk. It's not about making excuses, but it can actually highlight that if someone has a combination of factors, and I know Declan was mentioning it there, if you've got alcohol addiction, you've got a history of domestic violence, and you've got mental health, guards will refer to this as the toxic trio.
But at the same time, there are many people listening to us who would be categorised as having, mental health issues that they're working on or what have you, and will never ever be violent either, so...
No, and it is about looking at risk, and you need to look at the whole picture in terms of risk, Do we know that the perpetrator was male that's attacked Ashley? No, we don't, but in all likelihood, it's going to be.
Witnesses state that it was a male. So
yeah, and we also know, there's going to be an age bracket there. It's not going to be a very old man, and it's not going to be a boy. We do actually have quite clear parameters at one level of what that perpetrator is likely to be. So we might criticise the guards for pulling in somebody, but they obviously went with factors that they were looking at, and the actual perpetrator could well be quite similar.
Well, that question, it is not for now, but I can assure anyone listening it will happen, because there are those that will feel there's been 2 days of investigation that has been looking in the wrong direction, arguably. as I say, that's maybe not a conversation for now, but I assure you it will happen. Okay, listen, we may return to that issue, but there's other things as well for us to discuss. I'll go to you, Paul Canning, first. The conversation rumbling on about the Leaving Cert, and it's a very important one. It's a very important one, particularly to the cohort and their families who are sitting the Leaving Cert. The government seems determined at this point to plough on with the traditional Leaving Cert, but it is complicated because if you want to sort of have a hybrid situation, there are many going into this Leaving Cert that never sat a Junior Cert, so maybe there's no, some would argue then there's not enough sort of past information to set out predictive grades. Either way, the teenagers, primarily teenagers, not exclusively, don't know what's going on. They're already living in a very stressful world, and this is just compounding it. What would you favour, or what's your general commentary, Paul, on what's going on for our Leaving Cert students?
The Leaving Cert students and their teachers, first of all, need to be really, really, really congratulated on how they're actually dealing with this situation, because going back when I was at school, the Leaving Cert was the be all and end all of life. It was what you were aiming to get to, and it also paved the way for your future life and what direction you were going. Now that has been all put up in turmoil for a lot of young people and a lot of teachers, because whenever you are doing the Leaving Cert, it's all the whole program is on a clock. And whenever that clock changes, whenever they can't attend school, whenever they can't do this, they have programs for this, that, and on, the structures is just totally annihilated on them. It's wiped out, and it's very, very difficult for both the teacher and the student to know where they're going, what's going to be the end result. And there's 2 years, 3 years there where we have a run of students that needs support going forward, because they don't know whether they're coming or going. You have them situations where certain parts of the country doesn't have the broadband that's needed to actually help them study and help them do the work that other students can do within towns. So there's no balance there, first of all. And I really, really feel sorry for the students and the teachers that are doing their leaving. And also whenever you have the predictive grades, what actually happens there then is the bar moves, the point system automatically moves to a level then that works with the predictive grades. And you'll have people going into starting third level education, and they might be out of their level altogether, and there's a year wasted then because the structure, the fifth year doing their Leaving Cert didn't pick that up.
You're not going to fix everything, because you can't create something that addresses every single issue and it also appeals to every single student. But I just feel sometimes with a lot of these decisions that are taken, be it particularly the public health decisions of late, tough decisions, and decisions have to be made, that the emotional impact on people is not necessarily factored in. Do you know what I mean? By simply taking a stance to say we're going to press through with the Leaving Cert no matter what. It might sound like a decisive government stance, but it doesn't account for the great distress and anxieties that GPs are reporting, for example, as mums, dads, guardians and caregivers are seeing firsthand. Do you know what I mean? I just wonder if our decisions need to have a bit of an emotional basis as well.
Yeah, well, if you're talking to teachers, they're different. They're different students needs a different way of being taught. There's some students you can throw stuff at. There's some people need to be helped with things, and that's where we're feeling now with this situation. We don't have that one-on-one between the teacher and the student, and them students are losing out because of that.
All right, Declan, what's your view? Declan Jordan.
I think students need clarity, first of all, simple as that. I do believe they deserve a choice, if it's to be predictive grades or they sit an exam. If students cannot attend school to no fault of their own, then I do believe they deserve a choice. Some students excel at classroom-based learning. Some are fine with what we're doing now via Zoom. So I don't understand why they're taking advantage of these students that can't go to school. These are young adults at the end of the day, and they are dealing with a very, very outdated leaving cert. It's a work overload with probably too many subjects in the middle of a pandemic. So I feel like they definitely deserve a choice.
Because even this month is written off for a lot of students. Do you know what I mean? They're 100%. Sitting in class and they're not being taught. They've missed out in parts of the curriculum, late last year that can't be gotten back over again. Do you know what I mean? So they are clearly disadvantaged in terms of the system of learning.
Regardless of what decision they do make, if we put our opinions aside, given a decision 6 months out from the leaving cert is still not good enough. These students need to know where they stand to get some preparation done. They can't leave them in limbo land like this, and I feel the right choice would be to give them a choice of what they want to do going forward, especially in the middle of a pandemic.
Dr. Marie Hainsworth, what's your view?
Yeah, I think the leaving cert has long needed an overhaul, in terms of the way that it operates. And, if there was a system of continual assessment and more project-based work, it could have adapted to this kind of environment a lot easier than, when it's strictly looking at exams. And what does that actually prepare students for afterwards? I mean, my own kids, one of them certainly went through that. And, once you're in university, it's not really a preparation for that. It's a completely different way of working. We're still tied into this. It has to be one or the other. And, this is an opportunity to do a hybrid method. I did see one of the teachers' unions saying, children will be disadvantaged if it's hybrid. But I mean, you're assuming that children were not disadvantaged when it was all exam-based. They clearly were, so we do need to have a better conversation around how children learn and how they can be assessed.
But the whole school system, a lot of it is really learning answers to questions. Much of it is really just, it's a memory test, a lot of it.
And how much of that do we use when we're adults? How many of us are in jobs now or even, studying for things where we are using information we learnt at school? A lot of the stuff that we had to learn wrote for exams, very little of it.
Yeah, okay. I have a Leaving Cert student who's been off since Christmas holidays as he was a close contact. Google Classrooms, he had only work the odd day for 2 subjects only, and he's a Leaving Cert. Terrible work not being put up for them onto Google Class. That is part of it as well, that... we can talk about every possible cause and solution on violence towards women in society. However, let's not ignore the elephant in the room. No matter what society does, there'll always be bad people walking our streets. What are the stats for men attacked and or murdered by men or by women or by unknown? Well, the reality is the overwhelming majority of murders are carried out by men, whether it's man on man or man on women. So I don't really fully understand the point you're trying to make. I'm concerned at the Garda handling of the Aisling Murphy murder, particularly the information released to the media about the person in custody. They said a woman witnessed the attacker and the arrested man matched that description. They also said he was on bail on violent crime charges. Now, I'm not sure the Gardaí said this. The media did say this, and highly respected journalists even got to the point where they were discussing whether or not this person was originally from Ireland or not. So I wouldn't put all the blame on the Guards here. There were some very serious journalists, and I was reading what they had to say, and I was really quite surprised they were engaging this in this level of, supposed, not supposedness, but speculation. But the caller goes on to say the information would definitely influence a jury if the subject was charged. The suspect is now released and Gardaí have eliminated him from the inquiries. The problem is that mud sticks. I think the Gardaí believed they had their man and were arrested on their laurels. And resting on the laurels. We don't know that, though. They go on to say a lot of women's murders have gone unsolved. I hope Aisling's murder is not added to that list. Gardaí should remember the mistakes made in Aberdeen, and the walk in which Aisling was murdered on is actually named after a woman who has gone missing. Okay, right. It is the 9 till noon show here in Highland Radio. More from our guests after this break.
The 9 till noon show brought to you by Kelly's Toyota. Test drive Toyota's incredible self-charging hybrid range at our showroom, Port Road, Letterkenny.
Inish Fitness Dunlow are offering half-price programs on Saturdays this month. That's a 1-hour consultation and a 4-week plan for just €10 this month at Inish Fitness Dunlow.
Most people say that Donegal is the coolest place on the planet, but up here we know that sometimes it can be the coldest. Charles Brunner & Sons Ballybuffet is the one-stop shop for all your heating needs. We have a huge range of multi-fuel and wood pellet stoves and ranges, spare parts for all major stove and range brands, plumbing and bathroom ware, all at exceptional prices. So visit our showrooms where our friendly and experienced team will be ready to help you. Charles Brunner & Sons Ballybuffet and the stovestore.ie, where you can always do a good deal better.
If you've got magic moments or great memories captured on your smartphone, now's the time to have them printed at mcgees.ie. Simply upload your favourite photos, then choose your size and finish. There's click and collect, or you can have your prints delivered to your door. Prices are from just 12 cents, and there's also various creative options available. Preserve your memories today at mcgees.ie.
A new year? A new floor? At Floorit, we offer quality solid, semi-solid and laminate click vinyl wood flooring, together with a vast choice of Parky herringbone flooring, all fitted and tailored to your needs. Call in today and see for yourself the fantastic offers available this January. Call Floorit today on 087 1617 008 or visit floorit.ie.
Start the new year by treating yourself and availing of the best finance offer available. Driving away in your new car has become even more affordable with 0% finance now available on the all-new Kia Sportage and Kia Ceed range. Call us today to book your test drive on 074 91 345 67 or visit imotors.ie.
Our McCullough Jewellers in Letterkenny are synonymous with fine jewellery, quality watches and giftware, with stores at Main Street, Letterkenny and the Letterkenny Shopping Centre, or online at ourmccullough.com. You can choose from their quality product range in a relaxed atmosphere, and their sales staff will be happy to help you make the right choice, whatever the occasion. Our McCullough Jewellers, making moments magical for generations.
Getting fit just got easier with Inish Fitness Dunlow. Subscription payments are now available to help spread the cost of your membership. Call in to Inish Fitness Dunlow for more details.
Right now, there's a child who desperately needs a foster family. It's the right of every child to grow up in a supportive and loving home. Could you open your heart to a child? Origins Foster Care need foster carers now. Together, making children's lives better. Call 01 907 9196 or follow us on Facebook.
Brian McCormick Sports and Leisure, Main Street, Letterkenny. The big winter sale is now on with great reductions throughout the store. Selected kids' clothing reduced to clear. Also Adidas tracksuits for all ages on bmcsports.ie. Men's and women's sports clothing with discounts of up to 40% off. Check out the Brian McCormick's winter sale in store or click on bmcsports.ie.
Hello, Grace. Where are you heading?
Down to Made to Measure Fireplaces in Creasla.
Made to Measure Fireplaces? Didn't you just buy a fireplace there?
Yeah, but I'm going now to pick my kitchen worktop.
Create the kitchen and living room of your dreams at Made to Measure Fireplaces and Granite Worktops. They've been in business for over 40 years, so for help choosing granite or quartz for your worktop, fireplace or stove, visit the Made to Measure showroom at Cashel Creasla or see mtmfireplaces.com or on Facebook.
Discover the Dunstores app and put better value at your fingertips. Tap to browse all our latest grocery offers. See all your 10 off 50 grocery vouchers stored in one place and scan your Value Club card to earn points. All within the app, saving you time and money. Plus, download the app today and you'll receive a one-time 10 off 30 welcome voucher. Dunnes Stores, always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Welcome voucher can be used on next grocery shop of €30 or more.
Backstage Bar and Grill is open for breakfast, lunch and dinner 7 days a week. If you are looking for a healthy option this January, we have a great selection of delicious salads, sandwiches and more. We also have a tasty vegan menu. Call Century Complex on 074 91 21976 to book your table.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show. Now, did you know, perhaps you did not, that perhaps on Saturday night, 5 numbers could win you €19 million. That's the way it is, because they're They are making sure that the 19 point whatever it is lotto goes on Saturday. But a lot of conversation has been had about the lotto. You know, it's been 19 million for a long, long time now. It'll never roll over as often as it has. Once it reaches the maximum, there'll be a maximum then of 5 draws before it has to be given away. Councillor Paul Canning, you'll be doing the lotto. I can tell by you. You will definitely be doing the lotto.
So funny enough, I don't do the lotto. I never do the lotto, but I was informed last night by my good wife that she has done the lotto this week. So
well, then you've done the lotto.
Aye.
You've done the lotto, then I hope.
Well, she has done it. You know what I mean. So hopefully I get 50% of it anyway.
I'd say 10%. You'd be lucky.
But regarding it, not the whole lotto thing needs to be reviewed. A bit like the Leaving Cert, but it has to be reviewed. I think even, 19 winners at $1 million each would be better than one winner at 19 million. I think it's...
Would it be, though? Because as I said yesterday on the programme, Paul, I know people that won't start playing the lotto until it gets to 4 or 5 or 6 million. 1 million's not enough for them.
Yeah, but if you have a chance of 10 winners as to one winner, that's why it needs to be relooked, the whole structures and how it's all done, because they're competing now with online gambling and online betting, and I would say they're losing that battle.
Yeah. Do you think we need to look at where the money's going? Does there need to be more transparency? How much is going to good causes? How much is going to pension funds? How much is being spent on advertisement? Where does the unclaimed winnings money go? Do we need to have a full look at this, or are you happy enough with the way it is?
We need to have a full look at it, because whenever the lotto came out first, you always seen community projects done, and it was lotto financed. You don't see that anymore, so that needs to come back into play.
Well, they do contribute quite a lot. We do contribute quite a lot. I mean, if you do €9, you're told that something like €3.60 goes to good causes. But maybe that's part of what they could do to relate that message better. Declan Jordan, what do you think? Do you think a lot of people spend an awful lot of money on the lottery? Do we need to look at how it's run? Do we need more information? Does it really matter? Will we stop talking about it when someone wins the 19 million? Really, that's what we generally do. We just move on, don't we?
Yeah, I think that might be the case again. I do wonder, would this be the case if the government hadn't sold the lotto in the first place? But I kind of, from what I've seen from the lottery, I don't know a lot about it. But here in Letterkenny, our Church Lane got funding from it. I think our Travers project here in Letterkenny got funding from it. So we have received some funding from what I see, anyway, at a local level from the lottery. Look, it's not something that's going to keep me awake at night when somebody wins it. Congratulations. But it's great to see that there'll be no rollover again, and that some people will be winning some money. But I think this won't be spoke about again. I think there might be some small changes as to ownership, but it'll be sold again, I'm sure, in a few years' time, it'll be moved on, I'd imagine.
Will you be doing the lotto?
I probably will, yeah.
And what would you spend €19 million on, Declan?
Jesus, Greg, I don't know if me and you'll be doing these 9 to noon shows anymore.
Well, I can certainly not for free anyway. The more money you have, the more expensive it is potentially. But we appreciate your time for free. Just for fear anyone thinks that you're doing this for anything other than helping with the conversation. Dr. Marie Hainsworth, have you a particular view on it in the wider scale of things? I mean, it's a wee bit lighthearted, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, one level, but I suppose, if there are better ways maybe of raising money for society, like the comic relief stuff, at least there's no gambling attached to it. It's a one-off. You're raising funds. You can then monitor where the funds go. I suppose it is questionable, or, we've benefited from the National Lottery. I'm not, giving out about it. And I know lots of other projects that have, but yeah, there is another component attached to it. And, the more commercial it becomes and the more private, are you entering into that realm? Like I went onto their website, I don't do the lottery until it reaches 19 million. So
rich tastes.
But it's very easy to do now online. One of the things that would put me off is going into the shop and having to buy the tickets and
stuff. But no one ever seems to win it online. It always seems to, the big money seems to have been won in a shop. It would discourage me from doing it online. And also, too, people should factor in, and this is a by the by, but maybe useful information, that on a, say, for instance, a mortgage application form, when you submit your bank account details, they do log how much you spend on the lottery. There is actually a section on a mortgage application form as it relates to the amount of money goes from your account towards the National Lottery, which I'm not sure everybody knows.
No.
Well,
So
it is.
I better cancel that account now.
It features on their forms. Listen, Dr. Marie Hainsworth, thank you. And your cat has been put outside, or did it go out by itself, or are there two of them?
It was put outside.
Look, it's sitting there trying to make you feel guilty now. I don't think you'll last very long, will you, before bringing it back in?
Oh.
Dr. Marie Hainsworth, Manager of Donegal Domestic Violence Services, thank you very much for your time today. Declan Jordan, Peace Commissioner, if you do win the lotto, you will come back on, won't you?
I will, Greg, of course. Thank you.
Okay, that's a commitment. And Councillor Paul Canning of Fianna Fáil, as always, thank you very much for joining us as well.
Thank you, Greg. The only one thing, Calais is doing a vigil, I think, at 4 o'clock at the grotto there at the chapel. So just to acknowledge that, and so just let people know. I don't know of anywhere else locally, but that's one that is doing the circle. So
okay, so that's at Calais at 4 o'clock, you say?
Yeah, at the chapel at the wee grotto.
Okay, very good. Okay, thank you very much for that, Paul Canning. Okay, and as I say, if there are any there's a vigil in Donegal Town, by the way, on the Diamond in Donegal Town at 6:30. I've been informed as well. If you are hosting something, let us know. I'm more than happy to let others know as well. All right, so 086 60 25,000, that's the WhatsApp line, that's the text line. A caller says, our culture has changed towards drink driving, indoor smoking over the years, as can our attitudes towards violence against women. With better awareness and education in the medium to long term, in the short term a lot can be improved: re-policing, longer sentences and stricter bail conditions, funding to refuges, public lighting, public lighting to make it safer for everyone. Another, hi, this brings up the topic again that more cameras are needed in busy areas, i.e. towns, walkways. There's always going to be the devil people out there, but is there? You know, cameras, pepper spray, all that kind of stuff is after the fact, and it's important, but it presumes that it's a problem that cannot be addressed or won't go away. Maybe that is the case. But I suppose that's what we've been talking about over the course of the last hour. Much more to talk about over the next 2 hours. Stay with us. We're breaking for the news and obituary notices.
The 9 till noon show brought to you by Kelly's Toyota. With over 45 years of experience, trust us to help you on your electric journey.
Inish Fitness Dunlow is offering a free fitness plan tailored to you with every 6 or 12 month membership purchased in January. Call in to Inish Fitness Dunlow to find out more.
Are you switched on to your energy rights? If you're worried about rising energy costs and are having difficulty paying your gas and electricity bills, you should contact your supplier. Energy suppliers are required to assist customers in genuine financial difficulty and can put in place payment arrangements such as pay-as-you-go meters or payment plans to help you better manage your gas and electricity bills. For more, go to cru.ie. Brought to you by the Commission for Regulation of Utilities.
The Northwest Independent Clinic is now Kingsbridge Private Hospital. Yes, we have arrived in Ballykelly, and if you need treatment or surgery, there is no need to wait. At Kingsbridge Private Hospital Northwest, you will have access to over 300 consultants and hundreds of treatments and services. We are approved by all major insurance companies and self-pay options are available. In fact, treatment could cost less than you think. And with guaranteed 5-star care from treatment right through to your personalised recovery plan, we will be with you every step of the way. So why wait? Visit kingsbridgeprivatehospital.com today.
McGinley Furniture's new showroom in Letterkenny now has more of everything. More suites, beds, dining room and occasional furniture. Also more rugs, mirrors and lamps, all available for immediate delivery. And with extra space, there's also more new stock on display. For a beautiful addition to your home, there's more than ever to choose from at McGinley's Furniture on the Joe Boner Link Road, Letterkenny, and at mcginleysfurniture.com.
Need a new part for your Ford car or van? Why not call to OMS Auto Parts in Buncrana? With a massive stock of Ford parts, you're sure to get the part you need. Free next day delivery on orders over €50. Call 074 9361924 or shop online at omsautoparts.ie.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, I'm Michaela Clark with the news at 10 o'clock. Eddie Fullerton was not notified that personal information relating to him had been found in a Loyalist intelligence cache in Derry in November 1989, almost 2 years before his death. That was one of the findings of the Police Ombudsman of Northern Ireland's report, who says concerns of collusive behaviours raised by the family of Eddie Fullerton, who was shot dead at his home in Buncrana in 1991, were legitimate and justified. Mrs Marie Anderson also found that there was no record that intelligence requests from Gardaí between June 1991 and January 1993 were responded to by RUC Special Branch in the case of Mr Fullerton. Donegal Deputy Darren Mclaughlin says the evidence contained in the report is damning.
If you look at the issue of the two weapons that were used to murder Eddie, one was reported as stolen from an RUC member. Another weapon was probably imported into the north of Ireland by unionist paramilitaries supported by British state agents. Those two weapons were used in other murders. There's just so many elements to this, but the Fullerton family are absolutely vindicated, and it's time for the British government to admit now their central role in the conflict in our island.
The Police Ombudsman of Northern Ireland, Mrs Marie Anderson, has identified collusive behaviours in a total of 19 murders and multiple attempted murders in the North West between 1989 and 1993. One of those is the killing of 33-year-old Patrick Shanahan from Ahiarn in County Tyrone, who was shot dead while travelling to work in Castlederrick in 1991. Among a number of failings, the Greenwich report found that police failed to allow a doctor examine the body of Mr Shanahan at the scene. His brother-in-law Martin Bogus says for the family that is one of the most disturbing findings.
From our point of view, the IUC had total disregard for Patrick's life. When the officers first arrived at the scene, within minutes a doctor arrived and they denied the doctor access to attend to Patrick as he lay dying. And it wasn't until a second doctor came, maybe an hour later, that the police gave that doctor access to attend to Patrick. It's just shocking in this day and age to think that the police just didn't vote.
Inquiries are continuing into the death of Aisling Murphy, with Gardaí shifting their attention to a bicycle believed to be linked to the incident. A man who was arrested yesterday and questioned about the fatal attack on the 23-year-old has been eliminated as a suspect. Aisling's death has brought women's safety to the fore once again. Dr Marie Hainsworth, manager of the Donegal Domestic Violence Centre, told the 9 till Noon show that a balanced discussion with men and women needs to be had.
This is a call in terms of, in this moment of grief, to try and, unite men and women around looking at the issue and to actually hear it, to actually have a conversation. What does it mean for women to feel unsafe? And let's not get defensive. Let's not kind of put it on the other or to demonise just individuals and say that it's not a societal problem. Like, where do these people who actually perpetrate very violent acts, where do they get the messages from that it's okay to do this?
Well, vigils are being held across the country today in memory of the teacher. Among them will be events outside the Dáil and in Tullamore. Aisling was a member of Tyrone-based the Blackwater Ceilidh Band, and in memory, a vigil organised by the Irish Music Organisation will take place in Omagh this evening. A number of vigils have also been organised in Donegal. 45 new jobs are being created in Donegal by Aldi. It's part of a nationwide recruitment drive which will see the recruitment of 600 new store staff in 2022. The roles include store assistants, assistant store managers and store manager levels across the county. People looking to register a positive antigen test can do so through the HSE website from today. The measure is being introduced in order to get a more accurate picture of Omicron infection rates as the PCR system has become overwhelmed. However, a PCR or professionally administered antigen test will still be needed by anyone seeking a recovery cert from the HSE. Meanwhile, a boosted close contact who doesn't have symptoms no longer needs to isolate from today as part of the new rules. Latest figures show 1,011 people in hospital are receiving treatment for the virus and 92 are in ICU. Letterkenny University Hospital is dealing with 56 infectious cases of the virus, 2 in ICU. Weather now, any mist will clear this morning and it will be a largely dry day with isolated patches of drizzle and highest temperatures of 6 to 8 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with an update again at 11 o'clock. Until then, good morning. The obituary notices for this Friday morning, January the 14th. The death has taken place of Alice Simpkins, the Row, Greencastle. Alice's remains will repose at the home of her daughter Lorna and son-in-law Joe McDermott, 19 The Links, Greencastle, from 4 o'clock this afternoon. Funeral arrangements to be confirmed later. House is private to family and friends only, please. The death has taken place of Joshua McPaul, Mahary Dunlow. His remains are reposing at his late residence. Funeral mass tomorrow at 12 noon in St Crona's Church, Dunlow, with interment afterwards in Mahary Cemetery. House and funeral are strictly private to family only. The death has taken place of Nelson Wade McCrabb, the Racecourse, Rafo. His remains are reposing at his late residence. Wake is private to family and close friends only, please. Funeral leaving from there tomorrow afternoon at 1:15 for 2 o'clock funeral service in Rafo Presbyterian Church, followed by burial in the family plot in the adjoining graveyard. Family flowers only, donations in lieu to Medical 3, Letterkenny University Hospital, care of Terence McClintock, Funeral Director. The death has occurred of Beatrice McQuaid, Fulcara. Her remains are reposing at her brother Aidan's home in Ballyconnell, Fulcara. Rosary at 9 o'clock tonight from St Finian's Church, Fulcara. Wake is private to family and friends only, please. Funeral mass tomorrow in St Finian's Church, Fulcara at 11 o'clock, with burial in the adjoining cemetery. Funeral mass and rosary tonight can be viewed live on MCN Media. Donations in lieu of flowers, please, to the Donegal Hospice, care of Sweeney Funeral Directors. The death has taken place in San Francisco, California, of Kathleen Dolici, née Doherty Neddy, formerly of Bridge Street, Carndonagh. Her funeral will take place at St Peter and Paul Church, San Francisco, on Tuesday. The death has occurred of Kieran Malloy, Inch Road, Burnfoot. His remains are reposing at his home. Removal this afternoon at 1:30 to Our Lady of Lourdes Church, Inch, for reception at 2 o'clock. Requiem Mass tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock, followed by interment in the adjoining cemetery. House is strictly private to family only. And the death has taken place of Patrick P.T. Boyce, Gort McCall, Milford. Remains are reposing at his home. The house is private to family, neighbours and close friends only, please. Requiem Mass this morning at 11 o'clock in St Bridget's Church, Golan, with burial afterwards in Milford Cemetery. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Highland Radio.
Well, Davy, brilliant that you weren't in work today. We had some crack. It was Peter's last shift, so we all went out for lunch. Thanks for staying away. The lads are delighted. Chat to you soon. Mind yourself.
No one will thank you for turning up to work or anything else when you're sick. Stay at home and get a test to protect yourself and others from COVID-19. From the HSE, for us all.
Now, coming up after 11 o'clock, it'll be great to have Fionnuala and Michael back in studio talking all things entertainment. So if you've watched something lately, you want to have your say, get in touch. Maybe you are a Dexter fan, you watched the final episode of the current series of that programme, you want to comment on that. Stay Close, very popular on Netflix at the moment. A lot of good programmes on terrestrial TV as well. It seems that Emmerdale storyline is coming to a conclusion. Soaps are okay to talk about too if you've a view on those. Or anything else, maybe you've watched a good film lately, share it, join in the conversation, have a bit of crack with us. 086 60 25000, your texts and WhatsApps to 086 60 25000 or call 074 91 25000. Now, we will very shortly be discussing the Police Ombudsman of Northern Ireland's concerns of collusive behaviour. They've been raised by the family of Eddie Fullerton, who was shot dead at his home in Buncrana 1991. We know about those, but the difference is the Police Ombudsman of Northern Ireland has said those concerns were legitimate and justified. We're going to be discussing, it's a very detailed and long report covering multiple instances. We'll be discussing that after 10. If you've a view, not after 10, but after the next break. If you've a view on that, 086 60 25000. A caller says, it is the men of society that have no respect for women. It can be noted, an increased number of women coming forward on social media about the abuse they're suffering from their partners, not to mention the government in power promising that women who almost lost their lives as a result of something that was no fault of their own, yet that did not hold up. Another, though, says the woman got killed. It was terrible, but tagging it with a man does not provide any beneficial information. Each case is to be treated as a standalone murder and identify the real cause of each case. Then move into the 21st century and use advanced technology to provide intelligence so we can act prospectively. I think they mean in advance there. Talking about a man provides nothing except fear to every man. He didn't kill her because he's a man. He killed her because of a more in-depth parameter. Okay, but the majority of murders are carried out by men. Do you not think it's worth a conversation to find out why that might be the case, as opposed to it being somewhat equal across genders? Okay. Right, it is time for us to take a break for the bingo numbers. Good luck if you're playing today. We'll be back with more after these numbers and a quick break. Stay right where you are.
It's time for Ncbi Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Friday the 14th of January. You're playing on the yellow sheet. The reference number is S10. It's game number 2. The numbers are 45, 47, 80, 89, 78, 15, 35, 88, 58, and finally 32. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI Bingo information at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till noon show with Kelly's Toyota, Port Road, Letterkenny, where you can care for your Toyota with a 2-year service pack from €299.
Inish Fitness Dunlow are inviting you to bring a friend for free to a class with the purchase of a bundle of 8 classes this month. Terms and conditions apply.
Our McCullough Jewellers in Letterkenny are synonymous with fine jewellery, quality watches and giftware, with stores at Main Street, Letterkenny and the Letterkenny Shopping Centre, or online at ourmccullough.com. You can choose from their quality product range in a relaxed atmosphere, and their sales staff will be happy to help you make the right choice, whatever the occasion. Our McCullough Jewellers, making moments magical for generations.
Sheridan Security now introducing Zero Wire Smart Alarm Systems. Zero wire, zero mess, and a real peace of mind. With a simple press of a button, your alarm can be set or unset, or download the free app and control it from your phone. Call us today on 074 912 6025 and get your alarm from €299. Stay local, stay safe and protect what you value most with Sheridan Security Systems.
The huge January sale is now on at Watson Menswear in Letterkenny, with up to 50% off all stock. Top names like Sixth Sense, Andre, Mismatch, Wrangler, all reduced. Also Rimasumo, Superdry, Penguin and Tommy Bow. Great savings on casual jackets, jeans, shirts and more. That's up to 50% off right now at Watson Menswear, Main Street, Letterkenny, and online at watsonmenswear.com.
At Chrysler Supermarket, we offer daily specials at our deli, with fresh and delicious food to go. Avail of our butcher's weekly specials, or choose from a range of healthy options and pre-packed meals, plus many more offers in store. We're open 7 days for your convenience. Chrysler Supermarket, where quality and value is assured.
Highland Radio Time Checks, brought to you by Letterkenny Shopping Centre, the centre of shopping in Donegal. Free parking and shopping all under one roof. Letterkenny Shopping Centre, bringing you the time at...
The time is 10:14. Now, Eddie Fullerton was not notified that personal information relating to him had been found in a Loyalist intelligence cache in Derry in November 1989, almost 2 years before his death. That was one of the findings of the Police Ombudsman of Northern Ireland, who says concerns of occlusive behaviour raised by the family of Eddie Fullerton, who was shot dead at his home in Buncrana in 1991, were legitimate and justified. Right, we're joined on the programme now by the daughter of Councillor Eddie Fullerton, Amanda Fullerton. Thank you so much for your time this morning, Amanda. I really do appreciate it.
No, that's great. It's good to get the platform.
Yeah. Can you tell me what your emotions are this morning?
My emotions are mixed. It's been a long time coming, this report. It has vindicated what our complaint that we set out, that there was collusion on behalf of the security with regard to the security forces with the UDA, with loyalist murder gangs, and we have been vindicated in that assertion. It's taken a while. It's good to have it officially recognised finally.
But there's an awful lot in there that then needs to be acted upon, surely, because, this says that, obviously I want you to express if that is the case, but this recognises at least some of the concerns you and your family had, but those concerns have to be addressed now, don't they?
Yeah, there are implications for the Irish state and Garda Síochána. I mean, the idea that a democratically elected political representative was assassinated as a consequence of security force collusion with loyalist paramilitaries raises huge concerns that need to be addressed now.
Do you mind talking to us a little bit about your father? Because he was an elected representative, of course, and represented people, but he's your dad, so that's a very different relationship. If you're comfortable talking to us a little bit about your father?
Well, yeah, I think my father was widely known, and he was a very popular Sinn Féin county councillor, described by many who knew him as a man of the people. He was hardworking, tenacious, passionate, kind, very humane, and he worked across political divides and across religious divides. It didn't matter. He helped people across the board. And the day he was assassinated, and on that particular day, the community lost a very well-loved and well-respected political representative.
And in terms of the manner of his death, the fact he was murdered, the fact that you had to fight to even get to this point today, how much more difficult has that made the grieving process? It's a very difficult thing already, is it?
It's to be perfectly honest, when you are fighting a campaign like this, where doors are closed in every avenue, I think you have to put your grief on hold, and you have to. It can be so emotional, but you can't let the emotion of it get in the way of your quest for truth and justice. And that's what's happened. I mean, you may remember my brother Albert, my late brother Albert. He spearheaded this campaign, and he was the actual person who instigated this particular investigation. Way back in 2004, he submitted an application to the Ombudsman that was approved, that was taken up by the Ombudsman in 2006, shortly after Albert was killed, tragically. And for me, then, I had to step in. I was asked to step in as the campaign spokesperson. I didn't want the job. But it landed with me, and it's been with me. And my brother Eddie now works closely with me on this campaign. And we've had a lot of support. You see Padraig there, Padraig Mclaughlin, and the Pat Finucane Centre, and we have an amazing legal team supporting us now. And here we are. I mean, this is part of the journey we're on. It was our first experience of anything that resembled a real investigation. And that motivated us to continue.
Okay, stay with me, please. You mentioned Deputy Padraig Mclaughlin, who's the Sinn Féin party whip in the Republic. He joins us on the programme now. Padraig, thanks for joining us. Padraig, are you
Good morning.
there?
Good morning.
Okay, I have you.
Good morning, Greg.
Right, just clear something up for me in my mind, if that's okay. And maybe it's a question the listeners have. Is there a difference between, saying there was collusion or referencing collusive behaviours? Is there a difference there, or does saying admitting there were collusive behaviours, does that implicitly suggest they accept there was collusion?
Well, the previous Ombudsman, Dr. Maguire,
carried out the Loughlin Island investigation. That was the massacre. Tragically, your listeners will recall in the Ireland versus Italy game in the World Cup in 1994, they were in the pub watching the game and they were massacred. And that Ombudsman report found collusion. But what happened was that as throughout the years, the truth has been challenged again and again, and some of those who were formerly in the RUC challenged that language. So this Ombudsman has just been more careful, but the report is absolutely damning. And if you look at the period, so it's 1989 to 1993, it's 19 murders and 2 attempted murders carried out by the Northwest UDA, including the massacres at Castle Rock and Greysteel, where 4 were murdered in Castle Rock and 8 in Greysteel, and of course the murders of Councillor Eddie Fullerton, Councillor Bernard O'Hagan, North Sinn Féin councillor, and a range of other Sinn Féin members, and the wider nationalist community. And if you look at this particular gang in the northwest of the UDA, they were heavily controlled by British state forces in terms of their agents. If you look at the weapons that were used, for example, in the murder of Eddie Fullerton, there was 2 weapons used. One of them was a 38 Smith & Wesson. This was an RUC issued weapon, apparently stolen in 1988 from a former RUC officer. This weapon was used in Eddie Fullerton's murder and 5 other murders and 1 attempted murder. That's one of the weapons. The other weapon was a Browning 9mm. That was almost definitely part of the importation of arms in South Africa. That was carried out by Ulster Resistance and supported by British agents. So both weapons are clearly connected, and that weapon, the Browning 9mm, was used in the murder of Danny Cassidy in Kilrea too. So multiple murders. The people carrying out this involved, there were mass murderers, and they've never been brought to justice. It's harrowing reading. It's a damning report, but it's not isolated, as you know, Greg, because you have the Loughlin Island report, you have the Pat Finucane report, you have the Glenanne gang responsible for 120 murders. The weapons taken in from South African shipments were used in, we would say, 80, 90 murders. So that's the scale of collusion here. It's widespread, and Eddie Fullerton's family, and I'm thinking also of Albert today, and Amanda, Dinah, all the brothers and sisters of Amanda and Eddie's brothers and sisters, they have kept this campaign going over all these years. They always said it was British collusion, and they're totally vindicated today.
What do you think needs to happen next? Well, let's just say from the Irish the government, the Garda side of things, what needs to happen, do you think?
Well, the Irish states need to now demand full truth. So the Irish government needs to demand full truth from the British state about their role in the conflict. It's absolutely incontrovertible at this stage. They also need to insist that the British Tory party abandon their plans to give an amnesty to British state forces. Now, this is not an amnesty, in my opinion, for the ordinary British soldier. This is an amnesty to protect those at the very top of the British security apparatus, which goes right to 10 Downing Street. And they want to stop the truth emerging about what happened in our conflict that devastated families like Amanda's. So they need to stand up to the British government, demand the full truth. And then the final part of it then, Greg, is the Stormont House agreements. There are legacy agreements there for families who are victims on all sides to get to the truth in a human rights compliant way. So they're the challenges there, government, and I'll be pursuing them vigorously, and of course supporting the ongoing campaign of the Fullerton family and other families in our region.
Amanda, can I ask you, you talked about, when you're involved in something like this and you were found yourself stepping in to sort of be one of the spokespersons for this campaign, but you talked also about, almost having to suspend your grief. At what point do we need to get where you can sort of, drop your shoulders a bit and say, right, we have achieved maybe as much as we can achieve, or I've achieved enough, or we've achieved enough, whereby, you know, maybe we can start grieving properly or move on from this? You know, do you see an end point in this campaign for you, Amanda, on a personal level?
Yeah, funnily, Greg, I was talking to my brother Johnny yesterday, and it just dawned on me in our conversation about this report. I said, Johnny, I have a strong sense now that there's a light at the end of the tunnel on our journey. And it was an overwhelming feeling of relief. This was at least a tangible report now that we could work with and work from. And that's the sense, I think, for this family and for my family. Just uncovering the truth is what we want. We really want to get to the bottom and disclose the circumstances surrounding the assassination of Eddie Fullerton and the aftermath. The fact that we never received a proper, meaningful An Garda Síochána investigation is a huge thing for my family and for the community. And so this is our route to the truth, and we just have to see where the truth takes us now.
Yeah. Okay. Deputy Mclaughlin, too late, is it? Or is that part of the calls for a full investigation into this, or even, you know, establishing, although one can suspect why this wasn't properly investigated to begin with?
When we look at Eddie Fullerton's assassination, it was very clear from the start that the level of intelligence involved was incredible. So the killers kidnapped a family just outside Buncrana. They used the brand new car belonging to that family and a sledgehammer belonging to that family to assist them in the murder. They had a detailed knowledge of the back roads leading from Buncrana to Derry at high speed. They're very dangerous roads to drive at night at high speed. And then they burnt out the car at Culmore. I mean, everything about this pointed to a high level of local knowledge and assistance. And of course, then as the years moved on, I think people were shocked. And the Fullerton family, remember that the Fullerton family had to investigate this murder in the absence of investigation. Albert, God rest him, turned over every stone he could to get to the truth. He pursued every possible avenue, and only for Albert, Amanda, Dinah, and the extended family, we wouldn't be where we are. It was them that commenced this Ombudsman report. All of those 19 families have immense thanks to give to the Fullerton family for leading the way. They haven't just got to the truth of what happened to Eddie, they've gotten to the truth of what happened to so many people across the northwest of Ireland.
And that's, I mean, for anyone who lived here through the Troubles, through the worst of it, there were instances, regular instances, and stuff happened, like, you know, Garda stations may have been vacated at certain times, or, you know, I don't want to get into the realms of speculation, but I think a lot of people who maybe these things happened close to them knew stuff was going on that couldn't have really gone on without some level of organisational prior knowledge. I'm being purposely vague here, but do you understand where I'm coming from?
Yeah, I do, and you know, I mean, I don't want to impugn, because I've worked with many good Gardaí.
No, neither am I, by the way.
Of course not. No, of course you're not, Greg. But we have to be honest. In Donegal, we had the Morris Tribunal, and we had a layer of Gardaí that were involved in very serious corruption and malpractice, and the Morris Tribunal is shocking and damning of the impact it had on people's lives. So unfortunately, there were a layer of Gardaí that were around the time of Eddie's murder, and I don't think that was helpful to the investigation at all. And we have to be honest about that, and that has to be said.
Amanda, I think Deputy Mclaughlin's going to stay with us as we continue this conversation. But finally, to you, is there anything that you think is important to say, or anything, Amanda, that you would like to add?
There isn't really, Greg, at this point. My family welcome this report. We have a lot of unpicking to do. We've got to go through it with our legal team and consider the implications for our process. So it's early days, it's too early, but broadly I would like to say that we do welcome the findings of the report. I would welcome a serious attempt by the Irish state to engage with my family and really, really do its best now to help us get to the truth.
Okay. Listen, thank you very much for that. I really appreciate your time this morning. That was Amanda Fullerton, daughter of Councillor Eddie Fullerton, who was murdered in Buncrana in May 1991. We'll be back with more after these.
The 9 till noon show brought to you by Kelly's Toyota, Port Road, Letterkenny, home of the new Pro-A City, your perfect business partner.
Get fit this new year with Inish Fitness Dunlow. They are open 7 days a week and ready to help you with your New Year fitness goals. See inishfitness.ie for timetable, prices and membership offers.
At Michael Murphy Sports and Leisure, we know a good pair of trainers makes all the difference. Whether you're running marathons or training for your first 5k, we stock all the leading brands including Asics, Brooks and New Balance with different styles and features to suit individual running needs. Call in store or shop online at michaelmurphysports.ie.
Homeland Fuel offers, keeping you warm for less. 20 kg Super Therm, buy 5 bags, get 1 bag of hardwood logs free. 10 kg wood pellets, buy 10, get 1 free. Board Namona briquettes, buy 3 for €16. Shop in store or online at homeland.ie.
The Restex Beds and Furniture Winter Sale is now in full swing at our Letterkenny store, supplying only the finest quality, luxurious Irish-made beds and mattresses, with genuine savings throughout our range. We look forward to seeing you at the Restex Beds and Furniture Winter Sale.
Thinking of changing? Think Nissan. Choose from the all-new Nissan Micra, Juke, Qashqai or all-electric Leaf with finance available from 0%. With new vehicles in stock and ready for delivery today, give us a call on 074 91 34567 or visit us at imotors.ie.
Do you currently have vacancies that need urgently filled? Have you tried various ways to find new staff but didn't succeed? Let Highland Radio help you source and fill your current vacancies in the most cost-effective way. Simply sign up to our new job spot and we will tell our listeners about your vacancies both on air and online. Every Monday, Wednesday and Friday during our primetime shows, we will broadcast the latest job opportunities across the Northwest and into counties Derry and Tyrone. All job listings will be available online at highlandradio.com. For more information, contact the advertising team on 07491 25322 or email advertising@highlandradio.com. Highland Radio, we're here for you.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the programme. We welcome on to the show now Una Casey Egan, the wife of Jared Casey, who was murdered. Good morning to you, Una. Thanks for taking the call. I appreciate you speaking to us. I know I believe this is the first time speaking publicly about this, so take your time and I'll make sure you get out everything that you wish to. As much as you're comfortable talking about it, can you tell us a bit about your husband and what happened to him, Una?
Well, Jared was a good man. He with 4 children, and he was a lot of harassment started and raiding at the house, and the last raid was on the 5th of October 1988 where they took his legally held shotgun. They were in the house for over 3 years raiding, out in the coal shed up in the attic, turfed the kids out of the beds. They were sleeping, obviously, when they came in at 5 in the morning, and they just left the mattresses and put the kids out. He had been threatened and Castlereagh that he would be shot and that they would blame it on the loyalists. We always knew that it was collusion, and we're very happy now that it has come out that it was collusion. I don't know what to say, really.
No, that's perfectly fine. You've outlined it for us, Una. So tell us from this publication yesterday. Do you feel now, Jared, the family, those who have been campaigning, stating publicly that there was collusion, do you feel that you've been fully vindicated now? Yeah, we do. Like, we knew always, we've known from day one, from Jared was shot, that there was collusion, that there was the state, was involved, and
We are quite happy with that report yesterday that we got. As you know yourself, we were anxious and in the lead up to this report. But now we feel that we can move on here and, you know, there'll be other things done to bring justice for Jared.
And of course, his murder, any murder, is incredibly shocking. But in particular, one of your 4 children was in the room at the time. So obviously, you know, they were very, very young. Perhaps I'm sure they have no memory of it, but still, it's what could have else have happened. But also, too, as you were dealing with the loss, you and your family suffered harassment afterwards. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. After Jared was murdered, my 2 sons, one was 8 and one was 6. And I moved out of the house that Jared was murdered in and moved up into the village in Resharkin. And we were tormented with them coming in around the back garden and setting up checkpoints outside the front of the house. The kids would be walking to school and they would be shouting at them, what do you want to be, boys, when you grow up? And they would say, I want to be like my daddy. Kids know what they're like. And they would say, well, do you want to end up in the box with him? And just a lot of harassment. And that's when I decided that I need to get out of here. So that's when I moved to Donegal, 3 years after the murder.
And in terms of the publication yesterday, you as a family, or you as an individual, I suppose, is a fair question. Do you feel that this you can move on from this now, or are there further questions need answer, more investigation required? What space are you in, I wonder, Una?
Yeah, well, it's all in the hands of my solicitor, and we feel that we'll be able to, there'll be more have to be done. You know, there's more to be done to get the inquest and all has to be done. And we're left it to the inquest, and hopefully this will bring the inquest on a bit quicker.
All right, Una, listen, thanks for your time this morning, and I appreciate you speaking to us. That's Una Casey Egan. Do you believe, Deputy Darren Mclaughlin, that this will be the catalyst for the likes of Una's calls there for an inquiry?
Yeah, and your listeners would have heard the devastating impact that this had on the Casey family, and you know they've lived in Letterkenny and Donegal for a long time now. When you look at the chapter dealing with Jared's murder in this report, it's devastating, and indeed there's other sections of the report that link into Jared Casey's. I mean, essentially they suspect that a serving member of the UDR was involved directly.
Because he was not widely known to be a member of the IRA, so the presumption is that someone had to have made that information available to their own ends.
Yeah, I mean, there was a legally held shotgun removed from Jared Casey's home not long before this. You know, he had been threatened by the state forces repeatedly. And he was he's actually the first murder that's under the investigation of the Ombudsman here, carried out in 1989. And if you look at the circumstances around Jared Casey's murder, they're almost identical to Eddie Fullerton's in the way that it was carried out. Indeed, it may well be that the persons responsible for Jared Casey's murder were also involved in Eddie Fullerton's murder. The weapon used by the murderers was imported from South Africa. It was part of the Ulster resistance shipment. So the level of collusion here is absolutely shocking. The impact it had on their family, and you know, the Casey family lived in Donegal for a long time, and we're all very familiar with the Eddie Fullerton case in Donegal. But I'm just pleased that Una has told her story today. People in Donegal maybe don't realise that there's another family in our midst who've gone through all of this.
Yeah, and there's an awful lot to process, and we might speak to Una in a longer format once everything has been digested down the line. Pardon my if this question comes from a position of ignorance, though, but in relation to finding the people responsible for these murders, is there information held somewhere? Or could an investigation realistically get to the bottom of who pulled the trigger, for example, because I'm not sure that language is being used necessarily by the Fullertons or the Caseys, or maybe I haven't heard it. Is there any expectation that maybe those responsible could be found out and if still alive, brought to justice?
Yeah, I stayed up to the early hours of this morning reading this report. It's 336 pages, and when you go through it, it's very clear, Greg, that these murderers, I believe a number of them were actually British state agents. Some of them were serving members of the British state forces or agents of the British state forces. I think they were given a free rein until we get to Grey Steel in October, infamously Halloween of 1993, and that's when obviously the state forces realised these people are out of control, and you have the arrests and convictions of 5 people, and one of them was convicted of Castle Rock massacre and Grey Steel massacre, and in amongst those convicted, just those 5, you can be sure they're involved in other murders and possibly even Eddie Fullerton's. So I suppose what I'm trying to say is that they know, the British apparatus state know every single person involved in these 19 murders, and some of them were mass murderers. And if it hadn't been for the horror of Grey Steel, I don't think any of them would ever have gone behind bars.
But to get to the real answers, it would take, and I'm not sure if this is likely, a full admittance of what was going on.
Absolutely, and that's why the Irish government really need to step up here. I mean, how much evidence do they need? You have the Glenanne gang, 120 murders over many years. You have the whole Pat Finucane and all the murders around Belfast. You have Loughlin Island, and you have now this North Ulster. The evidence is overwhelming, and the Irish government need to demand that the British state tell the truth, tell the full truth about their full role in the conflict, and give closure to the families.
Okay, well, we're talking about the police ombudsman of Northern Ireland, Mrs. Marie Anderson. She identified collusive behaviour in 19 murders and multiple attempted murders in the Northwest between 1989 and 1993. Now, one of those is the killing of 33-year-old Patrick Shanagan in Ahayarn in County Tyrone. He was shot dead while travelling to work in Castledarg in 1991. And some of the failings in the Greenwich report found that police failed to allow a doctor examine the body of Mr. Shanahan at the scene. His brother-in-law Martin joins us on the programme. Martin, thanks very much for taking the call this morning. How are you keeping?
Thank you, Greg. No, doing well here, given the circumstances. Yep.
Okay. So is it a sense of vindication for your family, for Patrick's family again, that you knew there was collusion, now it's been recognised? Is that where you're at this morning?
Yes, vindication is definitely, there's a certain amount of vindication in the Ombudsman's report. As you say, it lets those who doubted our claims, those in the community who doubted our claims over the last 30 years that there was collusive activities from the RUC, that now that it's coming from the police ombudsman's office, that it confirms that, and so they can doubt no longer.
And we shouldn't underestimate that feeling of victims' families, that there's other information being put out there, there's waters being muddied, there's question marks. That takes an incredible toll, doesn't it?
It takes an incredible toll on families, and from our point of view, and I must sympathise with Una. Una's family is still even waiting on an inquest. At least our family has had an inquest. Our family had the inquest. The local community in Ahayarn formed the local the Castledarg and Ahayarn Justice Group. We held a public inquiry. We invited all to come. We took our case, Patrick's case, to Europe. We won a judgment case in Europe in the European Court of Human Rights, where the European Court ruled unanimously, including the British judge, that the British government had failed to afford Patrick the right to life, in that they had failed to conduct a proper and prompt murder investigation, and they were instructed to do so and address this. And that's why the Ombudsman's report is included Patrick's case yesterday, because that was one of the actions that the British government said they would take into complying with the European Court ruling. But Mr Johnson and co in the Houses of Parliament, even yesterday, they want to stop all these inquiries. So, like I say, we're fortunate in that we've gleaned this information. In his family, from what I can gather from your interview with her today, they haven't even been afforded an inquest.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Martin, listen, thanks for your time this morning. I appreciate it greatly. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, very much. Bye.
All right, take care of yourself. Thank you very much indeed. We were speaking, obviously, a little earlier to Amanda Fullerton. Can you tell us a little bit from your perspective, Eddie Fullerton, his contribution, the politician that he was, and we're going to be joined by Darren Mclaughlin. In fact, I'll welcome Darren Mclaughlin to the programme now. He was a serving member of Fionnuala, a council in Buncrana at the time of Eddie's death. If it's all right, Pádraig, I'll go to Dermot first, and then I'll come to you. I'm sure that day is still very strong in your memory, Dermot.
Yeah, very much. Sorry, go ahead, yeah. Very much so, because I remember that morning getting a phone call early in the morning. It was a tremendous shock, that they're told that Ed had been murdered. And I mean, that's simply what had happened. Eddie was a great character, there's no question about that, and he was a member of the town council, and I had the honour to serve with them, because it again, local politics sounds different, to members of different parties and that, but I knew the Fullerton family for a lifetime.
Yeah, and while you had different political backgrounds, you Fianna Fáil, he Sinn Féin, of course, at the same time, and it still happens, in fairness, particularly in Buncrana, I think, but across the county, you're all pulling, for the most part, in the one direction and working well and closely together.
That's absolutely right, and there's no question about that. I mean, in fairness to Eddie was very committed to Buncrana and Donegal. I have to say that. I mean, there's no question about that, undoubtedly. And he was easy to work with. Okay, he had strong views on some things, And I remember one I was in the chair of the meeting at the time, and Eddie was going very strongly on some subject, anyway. And anyway, when Eddie started, he had stopped at times, but Eddie went on. Well, anyway, I said, Eddie, I got interviewed, Eddie, I don't agree with you. He said, that's my attitude as well. And he looked at me, and then he started to smile, He said, I don't know, she was a great character. I mean, he was very, he had a great approach to people, and he was concerned. And over the years, I can remember of one day, there was some meeting on sort of way down the country somewhere, and Eddie phoned up and asked me was I going? I said, well, he said, can I get a lift with you? Well, this is interesting. It was the longest trip. It was down in Cork somewhere, and Eddie, that is the shortest journey I ever had, because he had a tremendous character to get out with, and he was very interested in history, as I am myself anyway, and discussed things. And I remember coming back, he had 4 different books on Irish history with him on the way back, but he was a great talker and that sort of, but very, very, we had good, I had to say we had very frank discussions, and over the whole political thing, and local issues and all that.
Well, we'll never get anywhere unless we have frank discussions. That's an exchange of views, and that even the possibility that one's views might change. It doesn't seem very present now, but that's how we get places, isn't it?
That's right. I mean, there's tremendous changes in the whole setup, and let's only hope that the whole thing comes,
It must have been a terrible, and we've talked about it a little bit, Darren, it must just have been a terrible shock, though, to get that phone call, and in the days and weeks and months that followed, to have someone who you sit with on and well known and well respected, just murdered in such a fashion. It must have had it must have took an awful long time to come to terms with such a shocking event.
It certainly didn't. I must say, I got a phone call early away from me to my sleep. Actually, it was 6 o'clock in the morning or something like that. And it was a tremendous shock because I wasn't sure whether I was awake or dreaming at the time. You know what I mean? It was such, and took some time to come to terms with it. And then, of course, it was a terrible thing. And obviously, it was then all over the place then. But it was very sad because, as I say, such a likable character, Eddie, and you could discuss, even we disagreed on something, we could have a frank discussion on it, and and I mean, it's amazing how things have moved on from that time, but it is unfortunate. I didn't get the full report now, I didn't get the report yet of what the findings are, but I only hope that, for the Fulton family, because they fought a hard battle and over the things, and over the years since that now, and it must be a very difficult time for them.
Okay, listen, Dermot, thank you very much for that. It's lovely to speak to you, by the way, Dermot. I've heard great things about you. Thank you very much for talking to me.
Okay, right, great.
Dermot Mclaughlin there, former Fianna Fáil councillor in Buncrana. Obviously, Deputy Mclaughlin, a lot of the conversation when we talk about, the likes of Eddie and others, it's focused on, what happened and maybe getting to the truth, what have you. And sometimes we can forget about the anecdotes and the personality and, the impact people have made in other people's lives. Nice to hear that element of Mr. Fullerton's character from Dermot there.
Yeah, and I'd like to really thank Dermot for giving that tribute to Eddie. Dermot himself served the people of Buncrana, for over 40 years. Absolute gentleman. I had the honour of serving on the council with Dermot myself, and an absolute gentleman and a real passionate person for Buncrana over the years. I think he captured it perfectly there with Eddie. For me, we moved home from Birmingham when I was about 10 years old, and Eddie was just a central. We were a Republican family, and Eddie was a central part of my life throughout my childhood. Really kind-hearted, great crack, great man for a story, to sing a song. What you hear over the years too, so many people talking about, particularly young people talking about how he gave them a lift and they had a great conversation. Back in the day, people would have been thumbing lifts all the time. There's just so many stories. I've never heard anybody say a bad word about him. You will, after somebody's passed away in the times later, somebody's bound to have something bad to say. Nobody ever had a bad word about him. We were just blessed to know him.
Just finally, and I don't want to politicise this as such, but I mean, it is political. If the Irish government, as you've called, don't take the action that you've sought, if in power, can Sinn Féin progress this in government? Is it as simple as that you will call for all the things that you said need to be called of the British government and so on and so forth? Is that a commitment that's being made?
Yeah, I think what's been missing for so many years has been a robust challenge to the British government. Even if you take, the Irish government, the whole issue of the Dublin Monaghan bombings, the failure to provide, and cooperate with those investigations. There's so much evidence, even if you just limited it to 26 counties, of absolute disdain of the British government for their responsibility in the conflict on this island. So, I do hope now, I'd certainly vigorously challenge the Taoiseach and the government when the Dáil resumes next week. But there needs to be now, a robust confrontation, demand of the British government that they tell the full truth about their central role in the conflict. That's what's been missing all these years.
Okay, Deputy Pádraig Mclaughlin, thank you very much for joining us. Back with more in a moment.
The 9 till noon show with Kelly's Toyota, Port Road, Letterkenny, where you can care for your Toyota with a 2-year service pack from €299.
Inish Fitness Dunlow are now offering class-only memberships. Register in person with reception to get access to the convenient Inish Fitness app for booking and paying for classes.
Beat the cost of Brexit and no customs charges. Do you need a UK address? For your limited company or personal use, Space Hub in Derry can provide you with your own virtual office or mailbox. Have your post and parcels delivered to Space Hub and collect at your convenience. Also brand new 20-foot shipping containers now in stock, ideal for all your storage needs at our spring Downtown and Coolmore depots. Find us on Facebook or spacehubderry.com or call 04871 878077 for details.
From the smallest shrub to the largest tree in an awkward place, Donnelly Tree Services provide a complete range of tree surgery services. Whether you need to remove a dangerous tree or some nuisance branches, Donnelly Tree Services have the experience and expertise to carry out tree surgery to the highest of professional standards. Call 083 005 9939. Donnelly Tree Services, Donegal. No job is too small, no tree is too tall.
So Good Juice is an award-winning naturally homegrown juice shot. Based in the Northwest, our 100% organic juice offers a choice of 3 key ingredients. Wheatgrass, helping your immune system. Turmeric and ginger works effectively as an anti-inflammatory. Beetroot and ginger improves blood flow and reduces blood pressure. And they're all great for boosting energy. Take that positive step towards a healthier life. Make So Good Juice part of your daily wellness routine. To order, go to SoGoodJuice.com. So Good Juice. Start something good today.
All ready for next year? Why not make sure of it with SEAT? Trade up to a 221 SEAT SUV and you'll be offered PCP finance from 1.9% and a 3-year service plan for just $9.99 a month. With the bold new Arona, the stylish new Ateca, or the outstanding 7-seater Tarraco, we're all ready. Are you? Trade up to your 221 SEAT SUV at DMG Motors, Claw Road, Donegal Town. Finance provided by way of hire purchase agreement from Volkswagen Financial Services Ireland, trading as SEAT Financial Services. Subject to lending criteria. Terms and conditions apply. Visit seat.ie/221 for further information.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. Micheal and Fionnuala are going to be joining us very shortly, by the way, as we wind down and ease our way into the weekend. But time for some of your comments. A caller simply says, thinking of all the Fullerton family today. God rest Albert. Right, okay, where else? More comments on different things here, as I say, just as we head towards the news at 11. Greg, if I won the lottery, I'd look after my family and spend it in Letterkenny Hospice and Hospital, older people and young people. What would you do with the 19 million, by the way? You know, as we move into the next hour, we'll see what Micheal and Fionnuala might do with theirs. But honestly, if you won 19 million euro, what would you do with it? And it doesn't have to be giving it to other people. You can say whatever you would do with it, but let us know. Text 08660 25,000. If you win the lotto on Saturday night, what will you do? But this caller says it's no longer a national lottery. The government sold it for a few quick million. Yeah, indeed. All right, listen, I have to take one last break to bring us up to the news at 11. But keep your comments coming in. What have you been watching? What are you looking forward to in the world of entertainment, on stage, in cinema, or on telly? Or tell us what you'd do if you won that 19 million euro on the lotto. Please tell me you'd give me some.
The 9 till noon show brought to you by Kelly's Toyota, Port Road, Letterkenny. Stockists of a wide range of used passenger and commercial vehicles.
Inish Fitness Dunlow offer yoga, Pilates, circuits and women's only weight training class. To find out about their classes only membership, call in to Inish Fitness today.
At Lidl this week, twin packs of peppers are only 49¢. If you're trying to eat healthier this year, they're the perfect way to add flavour and texture to a salad. If you couldn't care less about that, they're a fabulous way to add crunch to a big juicy burger. Whatever you're into, you can't argue with Lidl prices. Lidl, more for you.
The cost of living is rising fast, so what can you do to reduce your bills? In this week's Irish Independent on Saturday, don't miss Switching Saturday, your expert guide to saving thousands. We'll show you how to get better deals on everything, from energy bills to mortgages to broadband, and we'll help you cut the cost of household expenses, from your car to your weekly shop. Get financially fit and find your escape with the Irish Independent on Saturday. The Irish Independent on Saturday, up close and independent.
Are you troubled with painful varicose veins? Restore your confidence with vein treatment at Kingsbridge Private Hospital, Letterkenny. Our vascular consultants offer assessment, advice and options on the latest treatments available. So why wait? Say goodbye to varicose veins and hello to healthy legs. With appointments available, why not book your consultation today? Visit kingsbridgeprivatehospital.ie to find out more. Because life matters.
Ireland's best-selling car of 2021 is the Hyundai Tucson. And now the all-electric Ioniq 5 has proven itself with a host of awards. Ioniq 5 was named German Car of the Year, Auto Express Car of the Year, and European Car of the Year finalist.
Your local dealer is Divers Hyundai, Canal Road, Letterkenny. Call 9122 600.
Worried about having to move into a retirement home? A home reversion may help you stay in your home. Find out more at plus.ie or contact Advice First Financial, your local qualified financial advisor at advicefirst.ie. Home Plus, because retirement is for living. Residential Reversions Limited, trading as Home Plus, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. Advice First Financial Limited, trading as Advice First, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Okay, it is 11 o'clock and it's time for a news update, and we say a very good morning once again now to Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. The daughter of Eddie Fullerton says for their belief that there was collusion in his murder to be officially recognised is to be welcomed. Donegal County Councillor Eddie Fullerton was shot dead at his home in Buncrana in 1991. The police ombudsman, Mrs Marie Anderson, says concerns of collusive behaviours raised by the Fullerton family were legitimate and justified. Well, she has identified collusive behaviours in a total of 19 murders and multiple attempted murders in the Northwest between 1989 and 1993. One of those is the killing of 33-year-old Patrick Shanahan from Mahiarn in County Tyrone, who was shot dead while travelling to work in Castlederg in 1991. Among a number of failings, the Greenwich report found that police failed to allow a doctor examine the body of Mr Shanahan at the scene. Meanwhile, the wife of Gerard Casey, who now lives in Donegal, says the police ombudsman's report is vindication for them. Gerard Casey was murdered by the UDA-UFF on April the 4th, 1989 at his home in Rasharkin. The Greenwich report highlighted that despite some evidence, a number of people were never arrested or not arrested until some time later. Inquiries are continuing into the death of Aisling Murphy, with Gardaí shifting their attention to a bicycle believed to be linked to the incident. A man who was arrested yesterday and questioned about the fatal attack on the 23-year-old has been eliminated as a suspect. Aisling's death has brought women's safety to the fore once again. Dr Marie Hinsworth, manager of the Donegal Domestic Violence Centre, says a balanced discussion with men and women needs to be had. Well, a number of vigils are being held across the country today in memory of the teacher. Among them will be events outside the Dáil and in Tullamore. Aisling was a member of Tyrone-based the Blackwater Ceilidh Band. In her memory, a vigil has been organised by the Irish Music Organisation in Omagh this evening. A number of vigils are taking place across Donegal also. People looking to register a positive antigen test can do so through the HSE website from today. The measure is being introduced in order to get a more accurate picture of Omicron infection rates as the PCR system has become overwhelmed. Meanwhile, a boosted close contact who doesn't have symptoms and no longer needs to isolate from today as part of new rules. And 45 new jobs are being created in Donegal by Aldi. It's part of a nationwide recruitment drive which will see the recruitment of 600 new store staff in 2022. The roles include store assistants, assistant store managers and store manager levels across the county. Those are the latest headlines. We'll be back with an update again at 12 noon.
Okay, Michaela, thank you very much for that.
You have one new message. Hi, Claire. Auntie Dee here. I just wanted to say a big thank you for skipping my party. We had a great night, and everyone was so happy you didn't come. Now you take care. I hope to see you soon. Bye.
No one will thank you for turning up to work or anything else when you're sick. Stay at home and get a test to protect yourself and others from COVID-19. From the HSE, for us all.
Okay, it is the 9 till noon show. It's Friday, it's just after 11 o'clock. I'm sitting here in the studio on my own, so that can mean only one thing, that it is time for us to discuss entertainment, but for me to do so on my own. because no one is here. Anyone going to join me? No? Okay, here they come. 086 60 25,000. 086 60 25,000 is the WhatsApp or text number if you want to get involved in the conversation, or you can call Caroline on 074 91 25,000. All right, better late than never.
We were talking about what
the talking is done in here.
Movies, I know.
The whole idea is that we discuss it in
I know,
here.
but
That's
really,
just used chatting.
If we had a conversation about Marvel one more time on air, I think all the listeners would just switch off or throw something at the radio.
Can I have your list?
You can have my list.
Lovely stuff. Okay.
This was about Sandra Bullock, so at least it was. We were prepping. That's what we were doing, weren't we, Fionnuala?
Oh, good word.
Prepping.
Good word.
Prepping.
Good word for what we're doing.
Did we discuss, or have any of you watched? I know maybe I discouraged you, maybe, Fionnuala, last week with my one episode assessment of Stay Close. It's it's a Netflix drama.
I haven't.
It is, yeah.
Did I discourage you enough that you didn't watch it?
Yeah.
Right. Well, I ended up watching it in 2 nights.
And loving it.
It was fine. It was good. It was good, right? But it was very more Moorish. You find yourself having to watch it, and of course, it's all there. It was fine.
That's what everybody keeps saying about it. So
I had to go back into the game because I watched the first episode, and I think I just completely didn't give it a chance. But so many people were saying you have to watch it. You have to watch it. So I did. I swallowed my pride, went back, and we ended up watching it all in 2 evenings. It was
okay. Yeah,
it was fine. It had a beginning, a middle, and the end. It was a decent story, all wrapped together quite well, and it is what it is.
People are really enjoying it, and I did switch on Netflix, and then you had said that you didn't like it.
Well, I know. I kind of put that out there first for fear that
I know.
I felt so bad.
So then I just watched other things. So there's 2 new Irish movies that were dropped on Netflix. So I just watched.
Really? Well, tell us about one of them first.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, you haven't got them on the list?
No, they totally are on the list.
Okay.
They're the second one down there.
Oh, Redemption of a Rogue.
I went totally. The reason I was attracted to both of these movies is that I kind of am feeling very happy about, or I was feeling very happy about Irish productions after Hidden Assets. Really lifted me. Yeah. And in this is 2 of the actors from Hidden Assets. One stars in one and the other stars in the other. So I was like, oh, this is awesome. I'm totally going to watch these. The first movie that I watched is called Redemptions of a Rogue, which, as I've said before, has one of my favourite Irish actors, Aaron Monaghan. He is from the Midlands and he does a lot of stuff with Druid, which is only how I knew him before. He was in Hidden Assets. He played the kind of straight-faced
the partner.
Partner.
Hidden Assets is finished, is it?
Yes.
Okay, because I don't think it's actually. You never give that an overall review at the end, but anyway, we might come back to that. So carry on.
So he's in this Redemptions of a Rogue. It's called. The second one then is Deadly Cuts, which now of course her name Ball. What's her name?
Angeline.
And that's it, Angelina. Annabelle, I was like, that's totally wrong. Angelina Ball.
Is this part of the fun? Guessing the answers to the...
Yes, it's a quiz.
Yeah.
It's a medical condition at this point.
It's not.
I don't know. I was reading something. It might be yet. We'll have to check it out. Angeline Ball, anyways, is in. The other one then is called Deadly Cuts, and there was a lot of talk about that around the Dublin Film Festival and that kind of thing. So I was sat down and I watched both of them, and I have to say, why?
Oh dear!
Why were they made, or why did you watch them?
I don't understand. Sometimes I don't understand, and maybe it's me and I'm not smart enough or whatever it is. I don't understand people that produce Irish stories. Like, there's a movie that's out tonight now, and it's called Save the Cinema, and it's a Welsh movie, and I'm really looking forward to seeing it. It's on Sky, and it's available for free. And I was just, when I was watching these, I was thinking about that film that I'm looking forward to watching. I'd say I've seen about 2 or 3 films that are based in Wales. You've got like the Pride movie, The Man Who Went Up a Hill and Came Down a Mountain. There's a few of those kind of movies that you watch that are based on stories that happened in Wales or whatever. And you're like, they're always really... Yes, there's some bad people in it and good people in it, but there's always kind of like, I don't know, they're just like a family feel-good kind of thing.
Do you think we always have to be... edgy?
Yeah, we seem to be.
Yeah.
Either we have to be edgy, as in Deadly Cuts. Deadly Cuts is about this hairdressers that's supposedly set in a rough estate in Dublin. and everybody's aware that it's a rough estate, and all of a sudden then they're like, you know, accidentally murdering people and going in then into a hairdressing competition. And you're kind of like, I don't understand.
Why does it have to be so off the wall? Why can't we tell normal stories?
And the murders made no sense whatsoever to the whole thing.
But we do that. We do that with comedy. If we do comedy, right? And you would know from being in comedy circles, particularly acting circles, Michael, that there is a wealth of comedians out there.
Yes, there is.
Who could make very good comedy.
Agree. Yeah.
And no harm to the people that get their opportunities, but it has to be off the wall, social media-y based comedy if we try something new. Yeah. You know, it has to be zany, or it has to be so offensive that, you know, like, why can't we just try making good comedy shows and sort of good drama films, if you like, or maybe a bit of intrigue if you want to, but why does it always have to be so... I mean, when was the last good straight up Irish film made? Was it The Commitments? I presume we've done something since then. Belfast, a lot of people are raving about.
I heard that mentioned.
Yeah, I haven't seen that yet now either. But I don't know. It's just like I said, as I was watching this, I was just thinking, you know, because this Save the Cinema is coming up, it made me think, you know, there's so many of those kind of films that I've watched that are come from other countries, whereas I don't think even in Scotland, where they do stuff that like Train Spotting or whatever, that you would feel. They kind of do it with more heart.
And there is an actual genuine cultural element to that as well. Not the cultural generally, but, you know, a subculture almost.
Like the Deadly Cuts movie could have been a very good movie, and it in no way required people to be killed in it.
What is this?
You know what I mean? It was just about...
Hold on, what's Katie coming in with?
Oh, tea.
For who?
Well, she gave Michael coffee, so she was being nice to me.
This is
I got star.
It's the new coffee machine. The new coffee machine. It's the new coffee machine.
Did you enjoy Stay Close, Katie?
Fabulous.
See, look.
Yeah,
fabulous.
Everybody loved it.
Okay.
Everybody loved it.
So tell us about
Come back and talk Columbo.
Yeah,
and this is the other side of it then. So you've got the Deadly Cuts. Again, I didn't understand why there was any need for anybody to die in it. Could have been an equally nice kind of movie about a group of women and an area trying to better themselves. Lovely. Yeah. But no, we had to have people die.
So tell us about Redemption of a Rogue.
Redemption of a Rogue then decided that they want it, which is the other thing of Irish cinema that we do, which is the Michael McDonagh kind of an idea, which is kind of, you know, you watch it and then you spend the next 5 weeks afterwards going, what was that about again? And
that kind of is something you say about an awful lot of things, though.
No, this genuinely watched it. That is so mean.
It is.
I come straight out if I say I don't know what's going on here. I totally knew
you weren't given a chance on this.
I totally knew what was going on here. I just didn't know why. This movie is based on a guy who has Aaron Mclaughlin plays the lead character. Love him. Based on a guy who comes home to some small town in, it seems to be Cavan. In the Midlands. He comes home to some small town because he has decided that his life is no longer worth continuing with. So he comes home in order to say goodbye to the father before this happens. And while talking to his elderly sick father, the father passes away. And all of a sudden, the day of the funeral, it starts raining. And the father has it in his will that he can't be buried on a day that it's raining. 40 days and 40 nights later, it's still raining. The whole town decides that this is a thing from God, and it's a type of plague.
Right, okay.
And by this point, Aaron Monaghan has found a new lease in life, and he no longer wants to finish.
But you know, the funny thing is
and then it comes back.
Yeah, that story about, you know, it would probably make a good play. Coming home, father passes away, and a period of reflection and maybe changing attitudes, reevaluating life or whatever. There's probably some value to that.
Yeah,
but then you start to talk about 40 days and 40 nights of rain.
Well, you lost me there.
There was a whole religious thing. Then there was the guy that owns the town that is suddenly threatening them all. Now, I watched it. I watched it to the end. I would probably give it like, I don't know, maybe a 6.5 or whatever. Some of the performances are really good in it, that kind of thing. But it was more just like as if it was trying it's like as if sometimes we're making these movies that they need to be smarter than they actually need to be in order to get, and so then they get too smart.
Yeah, okay.
And you lose kind of the message in it.
Right, okay. A caller says, here, it was a bit of crack. This is Deadly Cuts. Dublin never does well in films, but it's great, grand escapism. And that's fine, but I think you're saying it's a role. Why can't we just make a straight up film? Not that Hollywood comes in and it's all diddly-idly-idly-o, or that it has to be so quirky.
Self-consciously edgy and just trying a bit too hard.
Hollywood comes in and we're either standing in a field milking cows or we're at mass.
Yeah.
That's
and we never
one-sided.
do those two things.
Not on the same day. Not on the same day.
Right, a caller says, hi Greg, stay close, really enjoyed it, but there was a flaw at the end of the film. Don't read it out as it's a spoiler. I don't understand, blah, 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 blah. But the one thing I would say to that listener is do not forget that person had been injected with a Rohypnol-style drug, so they had been incapacitated, having been injected in the club a little earlier on. It'll probably make sense to them.
It makes sense. Yeah, it's not a spoiler because it doesn't make any.
Has anyone watched House? Just discovered it. So good. Hugh Laurie is perfect as the Holmes-like doctor. Talk to us about that. Because you know what?
That's really
there are big chunks of programmes that people haven't come across, and that could very much be one of them.
Yeah.
Were you a fan?
Peacock, you see, is on Sky now, and a lot of those shows now are coming through on that.
Yeah.
So that's you see a lot of different new shows, like the Girls 5 Eva is on. But there's a lot of different shows, because I'm watching at the moment is Psych, awesome TV program that is back in the 90s and early 2000s.
They've recently done a reunion movie on TV.
No, they do one every couple of years.
Yeah.
They
Third one, I think.
They promise 5.
Silver Linings Playbook on Netflix. You've got this listed. Now, I went to watch this last night, right? But it says continue watching. And it was just at the credits at the end. So then I watched the trailer, and I had no recollection of having ever watched it.
It's 10 years old.
So I don't know what's
Maybe
going
it's
on.
well, it's is somebody sneaking into your house and
I don't know. I think I've started it and fell asleep.
But you obviously right. I was going to say
I think that's probably is what happened here.
I saw this in the cinema 10 years ago, and I see it popped up on Netflix about middle of last week, so that's why I put it on the list in case anyone missed it.
Is it Linings or Linings? Sorry.
Linings.
Okay, so
and
Linings
it's
Playbook.
Jennifer Lawrence and Bradley Cooper. And it is basically, the way I described it when I saw it, I say 10 years ago, it's basically a very old-fashioned love story with a very quirky worldview and two characters who carry their own baggage, their own mental illness issues with them. So despite the quirkiness and the fact that they're very unusual characters, it's really an old-fashioned love story, and I was utterly charmed by it when I saw it in the cinema. I haven't seen it since 10 years ago. I just looked back at my review. But I would recommend it based on the fact that I remember it as being, and I stayed awake all the way to the closing credits, Greg. I just remember it as being
You were lying on my couch.
I just remember it being a charming and surprisingly old-fashioned movie because it's just about two people meeting, and I say he's got his issues and she certainly, they have their issues.
No, I saw it. I saw it when it came out. I think.
I can't believe
I think I must have saw it on TV.
2012. That really, when I find sometimes looking back at my blog a bit depressing because I'm like, oh, that's like 3 years ago, and then I look and it's 10 years ago.
Yeah, because those of us who look back fondly at the 90s, when it was the 90s, our family, our parents, and siblings or whoever is around us was probably looking back fondly to the 60s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So us looking back at the 90s was when we were that age in the 90s, the same as the people then were looking back at the 60s. That scares the living daylights out of me.
It does to me too, yeah. It gives me pause for thought.
Well, and also my first, your teenage years when you start thinking your parents are, I'm past that age when I thought they were completely and now I'm like, oh my God, I'm so not that. I find that very freaky.
It is. Before we go to a break, we'll take one more from you. So your what did you rate Silver Linings?
Silver Linings, like Silver Linings, the Silver Linings.
What did you rate it at the time?
I gave it 9 out of 10 at the time. Just looking at my notes, I loved it. I copied my old review, and it's got 92% on Rotten Tomatoes. Critics embraced it. A lot of people would have seen it, but it's like House that you mentioned a minute ago. Yeah. It's probably slipped through the cracks for a lot of people. And Jennifer Lawrence and Bradley Cooper, they've both got staying power. They're still huge stars. In fact, they're probably both bigger stars now. You know,
they were quite Jennifer Lawrence in particular. I think
she was quite very young.
Yeah, she was quite very young. I don't think she had done the
X-Men. She might have done
had she done the Mocking?
No,
they were after.
Any of them or that kind of thing. I think she had only just come out.
Yeah, first
I liked it now, but I didn't like it that much. I have to say,
I loved it.
I could see why critics like. You know, it's one of those movies that again they've kind of.
Do you ever watch stuff though? Do you ever rewatch something in a different emotional space?
Yes.
Or in a different?
Yes.
And
you can get a different.
The whole film is completely different.
Yeah. Sometimes it goes both ways. It could be that you see this thing that you're like, well, I didn't like it much, but I've now got a reason to watch it again because of who wrote it, or who directed it, or who starred in it, and then you're like, wow, this is really good.
I know. Last night I watched Mercury Rising, and the last time I watched that was probably 7 or 8 years ago, and just to my earlier point, on both occasions it was pure crap.
Including last. Oh, right, okay, fair enough.
But
it's just a light popcorny. It's just a bit of action, isn't it? It's just.
Do you know the funny thing is? Go on ahead.
No, I'm saying you should have watched The Gentleman. It's after dropping on Netflix.
I've watched that, but I've watched that twice now. Oh. Yeah, I watched it at the time it came out from the cinema.
Yeah,
and also recently it was good.
Yeah,
it's like it's coarse and it's violent and it's.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But actually, I enjoyed it, and I normally don't like it, and I would have avoided his movies a lot.
Yeah, and then the next night, this is by pure coincidence. The guy with the beard and the glasses in that, you know, that sits talking to Hugh Grant through a lot of the film. I wasn't familiar with him as an actor at all. And then the next night, I watched. Is it Papillion? It's based in a prison.
Yeah,
he's in that.
It's obviously a remake. I know the original.
No, it's a remake with the guy that was in the guy that was in Mr. Robot and all that kind of stuff, who I think is incredibly overrated. But it's just funny that then I found myself watching an actor I'd never seen before in two consecutive films.
Things. Yeah,
he's all right. Like it's not. Right, okay.
What was his name? Was it Kate Winslet?
Haven't a clue who he is.
Okay,
I mean, listen, I could sit here till
never know it. I know. I know.
He had a beard and glasses.
Oh, him!
So that's just about as far as.
I can't even think of the character. I must want.
That could have been me back in October with beard and glasses. Could have been me.
Right, what would you do with the 19 million? Sorry, if you won the lottery, Fionnuala, I don't think I'd see you again.
Oh no, it's 90.
Is that not enough?
It's not really.
But like I said, I come from a really big family, so by the time you
you'd tell them.
Parcel.
What? Well, that's a mistake. That's a mistake number one.
I come from a big family. That's an awful lot of goodbyes.
No, I like my family, so I come from. Yeah, no, I don't think 19 million you'd soon. I remember. Do you remember when the lotto first hit like 200 and something, the European one or whatever? And everybody was talking about like, what would you do with it? And I actually sat down and worked out how I'd have it spent in 6 months.
Wow, really?
Yeah, but
that's like people who enter a Facebook competition to win a villa in Spain. And then start imagining where they'd move the furniture. I'd probably move that couch 100%. Back a bit.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not going to comment.
I'm not going to comment. If I won like 19 million, I'd be the opposite of you. I'd be like, how do I stop my two housemates from finding out I have this money? And like, I'd still be like, oh,
would you turn your back on them?
It's your turn to get lunch this week, you know. I wouldn't change the pattern. I'd be like, no, I got it last Friday.
So you'd be totally like the new ad that's out where it's like the village is behind nobody can see the village. They've blocked it off. Did you see that new lotto ad for the the new lotto ad? You know, there was the one where the guy.
I don't really watch adverts, so I'm disadvantaged here.
Occasionally they show up.
Because I don't get a chance to sit and watch regular telly too much.
You skip it, I know, but they had one where the guy had won like 7 million or whatever, and he'd put in a water slide into like the high-rise building that he lived in. Now I say high-rise, it's probably like 7 stories or whatever. But it just looked amazing. They were coming through the houses and everything. And now the new one is with the 19 is like that. Whatever. It's like two guys talking about how it's 19 on the radio, and they said, whatever happened to that person in Ballysprit that won the 20 million? And they goes, I don't know, how would you ever keep that quiet? And suddenly you see this lady and she's walking out of a pub in the middle of nowhere and she knocks on what looks like the mountains and the whole fields, but she pulls open a small door and steps into it, and they've hidden the town behind this wall where they're all living with loads of money.
I don't think you would. I don't think you want to win the lotto.
I don't do it.
I think you're very happy.
I don't do it.
I don't think you'd want to win it.
Yeah, I not buying a ticket every week probably precludes me ever winning.
That being said, if I were to buy a ticket every week, we probably have equal chance of winning. Both of us never. Okay, listen, what would you do with the lotto? 086 60 25,000 WhatsApps or texts. Did you watch either Redemption of a Rogue, Deadly Cuts on Netflix? Fionnuala didn't like them too much. Silver Linings Playbook, it's been out a bit. If you've watched that, what did you think? And we're going to talk about more stuff with Micheal and Fionnuala after these messages.
The 9 Till Noon Show, brought to you by Kelly's Toyota. Test drive Toyota's incredible self-charging hybrid range at our showroom, Port Road, Letterkenny.
Inish Fitness Dunloe are offering half-price programs on Saturdays this month. That's a 1-hour consultation and a 4-week plan for just €10 this month at Inish Fitness Dunloe.
This week's Irish Farmers Journal could save you thousands in cash. For more, here's Paul Mooney.
Don't miss our 50 tax-saving tips for farmers inside this week's issue, including how much can family members earn in your farm tax-free, what reliefs are available when transferring farms, and how to make the most of tax exemptions. Plus, we have money-saving advice for household bills, banking, insurance, pensions, and more to make the most of your income.
Don't miss our money-saving tips inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal. You cannot afford to miss it.
It's flu season, and children are twice as likely as adults to catch the flu, which can sometimes cause serious illness. That's why all children aged 2 to 17 can get their free nasal spray flu vaccine, a safe and effective way to protect them, and the rest of your family too. So make an appointment with your GP or pharmacist. Visit hsc.ie/flu for more information. From the HSC.
Mr. Blue Sky, Ireland's biggest ever lotto jackpot will be won. Yes, this Saturday, the €19 million lotto jackpot will be won. Guaranteed. Don't forget to play early. The National Lottery. It could be you. Play responsibly. Play for fun.
Beat the cost of Brexit and no customs charges. Do you need a UK address? For your limited company or personal use, Space Hub in Derry can provide you with your own virtual office or mailbox. Have your post and parcels delivered to Space Hub and collect at your convenience. Also brand new 20-foot shipping containers now in stock. Ideal for all your storage needs at our Springtown and Coolmore depots. Find us on Facebook or spacehubderry.com or call 04871 878077 for details.
Highland Radio Time Checks, brought to you by Letterkenny Shopping Centre, the centre of shopping in Donegal. Free parking and shopping all under one roof. Letterkenny Shopping Centre, bringing you the time at...
Okay, you're very welcome back to the programme. Sorry to interrupt Fionnuala and Michael deep in conversation, but we do appreciate you taking time to join us.
We try.
All right, stay where you are, because we're going to switch to Zoom for a moment, because there is a piece of work which is to be performed on Grianon Theatre in Letterkenny from the 26th to the 29th of January, and it is called Revved. It's written and performed by Patrick Quinn, and Emily Foran is the director. We'll start with you, Patrick. Good morning to you. Thank you very much for joining us. Right, tell us about Revved. What's the story?
So, Revved is a story about a young fella from the town called Eamon Kelly, and we meet him on his morning shift working in a petrol station, and he's looking back to 3 years previous, which was his Leaving Cert year, when he went out to the Donegal rally. And we go through his journey of finishing the Leaving Cert in the morning, going through to the pub in the evening, and then he goes out touring with his mates around the town, around the county, crossing over the border into Derry, and where he experiences a life-changing event. So it's great crack, and it's really funny.
Yeah, and is it tough to perform on a stage with all the action that you've described? You have to come up with solutions for that, don't you?
Yeah, we do. It's really interesting trying to create a road trip on stage, but that's why I got Emily Foran here in to direct. She's a fantastic director, and we've been tackling those challenge head on, and we've come up with some really exciting ideas and ways to get that feeling across to our audiences.
Right, so Emily, Patrick is the writer, he is the performer, but you are the director. Before you signed up for this, did you put down any ground rules, about who was the final say, about how decisions are made? Because,
No, it's definitely always me. No, I think I've worked with Patrick a couple of times before, very briefly, and I know Patrick's such an energetic, generous, fun actor to work with. Like, he's always bouncing about the room, full of ideas, and he really challenges me as an artist as well. So we just have really good crack together, and we've just been able to experiment with like so much in the room, and he's just mad. He's just a ball of energy. So we just always have a really good time when we're in rehearsals. So
Donegal Duracell Bunny.
Yeah.
I can see your tail wagging from here.
Yeah.
Or at least I think it's your tail. Right, okay. So in terms of the poster, actually, I love the poster. For those who haven't seen it, this is a print-off, so it doesn't look as good as it actually does. Looks fantastic. Looks like a movie poster. That's well done. Whose idea was that?
We collaborated with an incredible photographer called Nathan McGee, and the shoot, I couldn't go to the shoot, but Nathan and Patrick had to go to the middle of nowhere in a field, and they borrowed someone's car, and Patrick just went mad on the shoots.
Yeah, the car was like a Mark II
Escort,
and it was a proper old style rally car. It was worth like a load of money. Like, I was barely even allowed to touch the bonnet.
Yeah, go ahead. It looks like on the poster you're probably saying something along the lines of "Have it." You know, it looks like "Have it."
Definitely a lot of yos in there as well.
Yeah.
Right. So we don't want to give anything away, right? But is this a drama, a comedy, or how would you describe this play?
So I would describe this as like almost a coming of age action comedy.
Yes.
It starts off like that, and then towards the end it moves into a drama, and you realize the kind of consequences of his actions.
Okay, right.
So, yeah,
we're
really
getting into the space. We won't talk then about maybe the life-changing event, but we're around about that time the story takes a bit of a turn then, is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
and about halfway through it takes a bit of a turn, and then you realize, I suppose, the seriousness of the situation that we've been.
How important was it for you, Emily, and you, Patrick, for this to feel authentic? Do you know what I mean? So say someone who's involved in the scene might go to it and go, you know what, they've got it here. This is.
It was hugely important. So I grew up just outside Letterkenny, England, Sully. I've grown up in this culture, have always gone to the rally during the summers with my dad and everything, and we would have so I really wanted to capture that whenever I came back during the first lockdown. I wanted to write about home and really tell a real authentic Donegal story about somebody who's from here, about their experiences.
Yeah, I think it's really important for us to like capture an authentic story about here, because there's not that many stories written about here, especially in the theatre. So we just want audiences to come down and see a bit of themselves in this play, and just to have a bit of fun, because I think we just all need a bit of crack right now. It's such a grim time.
100%. But also doesn't happen a lot is writing about a scene from within that scene and with knowledge of it, rather than someone presuming what goes on, what people enjoy, what gives the buzz or whatever. You know what I mean? That's what sort of talks to my question about authenticity. There's not much of this about, which makes this very interesting.
Yeah.
I think I have connections in Armore Island, which is not too far from here as well. So even like coming here every summer, like I feel really close to like Letterkenny and this whole area. So for me,
well, that's when you're heading into the city from the island. You head to
I know you're on holidays then. But that I just feel it's so important for people to feel heard and listened to here as well. And just to have a really good night out and just have a laugh. I think we all really need that right now. So we just want to offer people that as well.
Yeah, but in the theatre we've got 2 meters social distancing going on. So we have limited capacity seating. However, it is literally one of the safest places you can go.
100%.
Everybody will be wearing their masks the whole time, and 2 meters social distancing. And it'll be going on at 6:30 from Wednesday until the Saturday night, 26th to the 29th of January. And it starts at 6:30. So,
all right, open to all ages. You know what I mean? Obviously, all ages. Like, is it?
Yeah.
There's a
it's a babysitting service either, but you know.
I'd say there's a few curse words and a few slightly edgy jokes in it. So I would say it would be 15 plus.
Yeah.
And do you want people coming out of this entertained but thinking? Is it this kind of thing whereby you don't maybe realise that quite an important conversation has been had, or an important message has been relayed, that it's buried in the fact that you just maybe had a laugh and you enjoyed the experience? Is that kind of what you're going for?
Yeah, it's really important for us, for people to enjoy themselves, but we also in this play talk about male mental health and a wee bit of consent as well. So it's about having a good time, but also continuing that conversation outside of the theatre and getting yourself thinking about, the society around us. But I think in order to do that, we need to have a bit of fun and enjoy ourselves in order to get thinking about that.
These things do not live in two different worlds. They coexist. It's all intertwined, and there's no point then presenting them in a dramatic way differently, because that's not our real lived experience. That's not real life, is it?
One of the great things about Donegal people is we have a phenomenal sense of humour and a real dry wit, and sometimes the hardest things in life coexist at the same time as our humour and our comedy. So we're always laughing, and it's actually through sometimes the humour that allows us to try and access the kind of the harder parts and the softer parts, and then realise what's
okay. And there's other plays some of Tommy Maron's work where he's discussing issues like dementia and all that kind of stuff. It's done through the medium of comedy, and it's had some of the greatest impacts. Okay, so it is Revd. It's written and performed by Patrick Quinn. You're hearing Patrick as well as its director Emily Foran. I beg your pardon. It's on Grianon Theatre, Letterkenny, from the 26th to the 29th of January. All public health measures will be followed, of course, and it's an incredibly safe space. And you can get onto the box office to book your tickets. Is this so uniquely Donegal, maybe a couple of other counties, Galway or something, that it would only really play well to audiences up here, or do you think it might travel quite well?
I actually think that specificity creates a more universal feel. So if you tell the truth about something really specific, it can travel the world because people will see that in themselves. If you think of Brian Friel, for example, the greatest, one of Ireland's greatest ever playwrights, he wrote about Ballybeg, a small town in Donegal, and that idea of the small town travelled all across the world.
Brilliant stuff.
About right here.
Yeah, I think Patrick's really captured small town Ireland really beautifully and really accurately, scarily accurately. So I think anyone who's experienced or lives in a small town anywhere in Ireland will get this straight away. So
all right,
it's for everyone.
Well done, the pair of you. The best of luck. Thank you very much indeed. I appreciate it. Okay, take care of yourselves. All right. Obviously, Patrick, a student of the game as well too, being able to make the references that he does. That's Revd, 26th to the 29th of January in on Grianon Theatre. Sounds interesting, Michael?
Yes, it does. I know Patrick on stage, amazing performer. He really is like the ever ready bunny. He's fantastic. He's like that in real life too. I bumped into him one of the days during the week. Very excited about this. He's definitely the guy to pull it off. And he's right. The more specific you are, I always think of on TV, one of the best TV shows ever was Friday Night Lights, about, local schools, football in Texas, in America, but absolutely universal, because the passion of the characters could be passion for rallying, could be passion for drama, could be passion for anything, playing poker, didn't matter what it was, because being specific can also be universal. He's right, 100%.
Hi Greg, just wondering, did any of the panel watch a film called Adam and Paul? It was brilliant. It's a dark comedy and I would class it, just want to know opinions. Never heard of it.
Not
personally.
on my radar at all. I wonder who's behind it.
Irish movie?
I'd say probably because there's a theme of our conversation.
I think it's the Irish movie, isn't it, where one of the two main characters in it, and one of them has disabilities. I think that's what the Adam and Paul one is, and it's about the friendship between the two young people.
The documentary Typhoid Mary would have made a fantastic Irish film. That comes in from Caroline. Hi Greg, great show. If I won the lotto tomorrow night, I would share with my family friends, Poor Families, the Priest, and two charities very close to my heart, which are the Hospice and the Oncology Day Services Ward at Letterkenny University Hospital. That sounds like a very decent and nice spread. Right, we're going to get more reviews and opinions on all things entertainment after we take this quick break.
The 9 till noon show brought to you by Kelly's Toyota. With over 45 years of experience, trust us to help you on your electric journey.
Getting fit just got easier with Inish Fitness Dunlow. Subscription payments are now available to help spread the cost of your membership. Call in to Inish Fitness Dunlow for more details.
It's the Right Price Tiles on Wood Flooring half-price sale. Get up to 50% off everything in store. All kitchen and bathroom tiles, all wood flooring, all bathware, all cladding, everything's reduced. It's our biggest ever sale. The right price tiles and wood flooring, half price January sale. Stores nationwide. Sale now on.
Don't be without your favourite brand toiletries, cosmetics and fragrances with McGee's Chemist, where you can click and collect or have them delivered to your door. Email your list, no matter how big or small, to cosmetics@mcgees.ie or send a text to the dedicated order line. See mcgees.ie or Facebook for more details. Don't be without your everyday essentials with McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny and mcgees.ie, where the best costs less.
Since she got her free hearing aids with her PRSI at Specsavers, Roisin is a changed woman. Music has never sounded better, and that makes her dance. And dance. And dance. Her singing, though, well...
Free hearing aids with PRSI at Specsavers. Music to your ears. Find out more online. Terms and conditions apply.
For a huge selection of furniture, all at one showroom, pull into Grow Furnishings in Letterkenny. Sofas, beds, wardrobes, tables and chairs. Also a range of carpet, vinyl, rugs and laminated flooring. If it's time for a change, it's time for a visit to Grow Furnishings. Grove deliver throughout Donegal, Derry and Tyrone. Be inspired at Grow Furnishings, Kiltoy Road, Letterkenny.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show. Adam and Paul says a listener was a thoroughly depressing film. It just goes to show it's all subjective, isn't it? And
completely. Art is completely.
Yeah,
completely.
Exactly. Granddaughter Danny Callahan in Calais. Happy birthday from Granny and Grandad McLaughlin. Happy birthday to you, Danny. Mum Katie McKinney's in Brocker Road, Derry. 80 years today. From her husband Damon and all her children and great-grandchildren, and from all of us here as well. Have a fantastic day, Katie. Greg, well done to Katie for the refreshments. I think that's your tea. What was it like? Okay, thumbs up.
Thumbs up,
makes
yeah.
a lovely cup of tea.
Did you have a sup as well?
I had coffee.
Oh, right.
I was given coffee. When I came in the door, I was met with a...
nothing.
I was like...
This new coffee machine has everyone excited.
You're taken for granted, Greg.
How has the TV2 found the ending of Dexter? The ending it should have got. Maybe then others got to take notice. Game of Thrones, that is. Right, now. I was very content with the ending.
Right.
Were you?
No.
Right, okay. I'll tell you why without actually giving the ending away very briefly, all right?
Of course.
Firstly, we have been conditioned to believe that Dexter is some sort of a Batman anti-hero thing. He's not really. You know, he's an incredibly unpleasant character, okay, and has been responsible for an awful lot of, even though we've been convinced those that got it deserved it, he's been responsible for his own self-preservation, right? Let's not forget, for an awful lot of innocent people around him having, and also to the point where he'd almost even sacrifice his son for his own betterment. And he was trying to pass on a code, and, you know, there you go. Right, that's as much as I can say without it ending. And there could be another series too. They're talking about a series 2 of the new one. So in terms of treating us like adults, right, and not just pandering to what we would like, okay, personally, I think they wrapped it up very, very nicely, touchingly, and I'm very content with how it ended.
Good for you. My only issue with the episode was I thought maybe the final 10-15 minutes were strong. I thought the first 45 minutes that got us to that 15 minutes was quite contrived. There were things happening, characters. It was very clear.
No, but there's a lot had to be done in that. Firstly, they had to show us directly what kind of a person he is, which happened in the prison.
Yes.
Right? And secondly, we've spent 8 series of him weaseling his way out of things.
Yeah.
And eventually he comes across someone and goes, no, that's not a chance. So in other words, every single door that we've seen him creep out every other time was slammed by the person, the female
but it's not even
detective.
It's not even that incident that I know you're referring to. In general, all of the characters had to do there was quite a lot of We know what we want the ending to be, so now in the last 45 minutes, we sure as heck got to get everyone. I felt it was a bit contrived.
Well, I don't think the impact would have been had if it had been drip fed throughout the whole thing, because we were talking, it's a return to form, it's fantastic.
Yes.
They're this is the way it used to be. The old showrunners on, all that kind of general stuff, right? That was what kept us going, and then we had the last. So I get you could have been maybe presented better, but I think I understand what they were trying to do.
Yeah,
if you know
I can see what they were
trying
trying to do. Yeah,
you know what I'm on about, of us thinking, right? Because
Yeah.
even last week we were saying, well, this could go anywhere.
Any direction, yeah, of course. And there was so many ways they could go. I still think it was a lot of things happening in that last episode to make it happen, and that I didn't like at all. I was like, you're really jumping through hoops to make certain things happen. And I would be in the camp, and I've said this on the blog a few times, even back when the original one ended, I think he is a comic book hero. And you kind of, it's as if the producers come to the end of a season and think, we're doing a socially
every
relevant...
decision he made destroyed the life of his son. His son, right? And you know what I mean? Everything he did, everyone close to him was robbed from his son for his father's actions. And only for his own self-preservation.
Well, yeah, but...
Primarily, so to keep doing what he enjoyed doing.
What he wanted to do. But yeah, we all kind of look out for ourselves. It's just that he's a bit hyper. Level. But it's as if the show was like... The showrunners are like, we're doing a very socially relevant drama, and that's how we should end it. But they were never doing a socially relevant drama. They were always doing a superhero show, really. He was just a superhero show. I just thought... It's a little disconnect from what we've been watching since 2005, But even that paled for me beside the contrived nature of that last episode.
Okay.
Just that was my honest.
And I just think there's also... I think you watch things on a deeper level than I might.
I overanalyze. I do that.
I overanalyze. I underanalyze possibly. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a... Right, okay. That's that. JFK Destiny Betrayed. Is this this is Oliver Stone. This is on your list. Is that the one you want to talk about next, perhaps, Fionnuala?
No, I don't mind. I can talk about it.
Well,
it's
we've
on.
got room for a couple, so I want you to feel you talking about what you really want to talk about.
Look, it's on. It's been on for the last couple of weeks. Some people may have seen it already. It's the only thing. It came out over the Christmas. Anybody who is into the kind of the JFK story has probably seen the movie, Oliver Stone movie JFK, that was out back in the day, back in the 90s. Because of that movie and the controversy and the kind of I suppose the social conversation that movie started, it meant that at the time, Oliver Stone ended the movie on saying that they couldn't take the movie any further because there was so many documents from JFK's assassination investigation that were being withheld for security reasons. And they were to be withheld, I think it's until 2035. And considering that JFK died in the 60s, that is a phenomenal length of time for it to go. So what they ended up doing after he did the movie was they had put a committee together to look at every single piece of information and all the documents that are put together and to start declassifying some of it that needed to be declassified. Now, again, if you've ever watched the original JFK movie, you know that Oliver Stone has a theory.
Yes.
And
yes.
His theory comes through. He is not one to believe that it was a lone gunman or any of that kind of crack. But in the other side of it, he is not one to go off on a crazy, completely crazy tangent. What I find so interesting about this is, obviously, I've always had an interest in the Kennedys anyways. I always found that kind of thing interesting. A lot of the conspiracies, I've seen all those different kind of movies that come out. Oliver Stone takes a very kind of a proper documentary sort of a look at it, and he's showing you the documents as they've been released. He's talking to people that have researched it. He's talking to ex-FBI guys, ex-CIA guys. You know, his access and his reach to people who were there at the time. One or two of the Kennedy's nephews, nieces, that kind of thing show up. One of Bobby's kids and that kind of thing is in it. And I just find it's just, first of all, it's fascinating to me to think that what was it, 1962 or whatever, so it's like 60 odd years.
But on the spectrum of sort of conspiracy theories, does who shot JFK a white with no disrespect to him and his family, it's a little bit like tiddlywinks now, given the scale of conspiracy that we're often discussing in modern times. Does it really matter at this point?
Yeah. To be honest, and I'm not normally, like, there's so many conspiracies going around now at the moment. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Some very grand ones.
Yeah. I tend to walk away from a lot of them.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about this story. There's just something about this story that just kind
It's got everything, really, hasn't it?
That just kind of makes you gravitate to it. And I think that, and particularly a lot of Irish people feel a connection to it because, I don't know, they sort of associated JFK. And, you know, I know for myself, when he came to Galway, now, obviously, I wasn't there at the time, but a lot of family members were in Eyre Square when he came and he visited, and they've all, you know, so a lot of people seem to feel that they have like a more personal connection to him above anything. Plus, its historical context is really interesting because, you know, you have, like, in all this, there's a lot of talk about the CIA, Cuba, the Bay of Pigs, a lot of that kind of historical stuff and how that, in their theory, gets tied into this. You have a lot of stuff then about the mafia and, you know, Bobby Kennedy and the Kennedys.
But is all that actually relevant to this, or is that all drawn in to sort of make it, you know, like the 3 degrees or 7 degrees of separation or whatever it is? You know, is it possibly not just the case that someone shot him and that's it, actually? But now what we're doing is if you look hard enough, you can find a connection between any two things, and you can build it up. I mean, someone can look at the number plate of an ambulance and calculate that those
significance
that it has a significance to a global conspiracy.
I think
You've met my housemate. Okay.
I do agree there is a lot of that going on, but there's something about, and maybe it's just me, maybe I'm just falling for this one particular conspiracy, but I think when you look at it, you see there's whatever you would have assumed at the time that when John F. Kennedy was shot, that the investigation would have been extensive and would have been just, you know, so thorough and so deep. The fact that there appears to be so much stuff missing now, so much stuff not interconnected, so much stuff, you know, the fact that...
Yes, but absence of evidence is not evidence of absence.
No, but but they have found... But now things have been found in these archives. There's people that were interviewed whose interviews are missing, but now it's so far down the road that they've now spoken about it. There's lots of different things like that in it. Now, I'm not saying...
See, when you get people that land on the moon that will say on the record that they saw aliens, you know... Like, where does it end? You know, these are all individual people capable of saying anything.
Very true.
It's framed as if they can only be. It's framed as if they can only be telling the absolute truth from a position of complete honesty and vivid memory. But they aren't. They're just like us.
Just people,
Like those people that are shown photo fits.
Never underestimate incompetence too. Things do get lost. I mean, that's one thing we know about organisations, large organisations. Things get lost and mislaid.
But this exact conversation is precisely why it's so enjoyable.
Yeah, agreed.
This is the thing. I mean, I don't know. I'm.
Do you know who shot JFK?
No, but after this, I'm leaning towards Oliver Stone's theory.
But, are you?
Okay. There's a law, and I know what you're saying. You can, say, for instance, he has started off with an idea. Yeah. I mean, in fairness to Oliver Stone, and you have to take, and I think as you're watching this, you have to take that into consideration.
Yeah, but we've seen the programmes as it relates to that awful, tragic, brutal murder of Sophie Toscan de Plantier, which is exactly what that was.
Yeah.
That people can go in with a certain attitude with the documentary, and you
make it look.
And you watch it and you go,
I know, and
all right.
You're
I'll tell you, when JFK came out, Donald Belisario, the TV producer, the guy behind Quantum Leap, he served in the military with Lee Harvey Oswald, and he totally disregarded Oliver Stone's theory. He said, that's a load of manure, because I served with the man and he did it and he acted alone, and he did a 2-hour Quantum Leap about it for that reason, because he hated the movie and said, that's rubbish. I knew that guy. He did it. We all worried about him for years, and then he went and shot the president.
Yes, but if you were going to set someone up, you would obviously find a very good candidate.
And on the subject of Quantum Leap, they announced last night is coming back.
Do you ever watch the movie? It's an amazing movie, and I never understand why it's not out more. It's called Arlington Road, and Tim Robbins is in it, and I'll never think of the next name. Tim Robbins is in it, and basically what it is...
Is Kim Basinger in it?
I can't remember. Basically, what it is how.
Maybe I'm thinking Mulholland Drive.
It's this. No. This is a guy who is like a college professor, and it just suddenly finds out how it ends up. How you can be manipulated and it unravels until suddenly you're the lone gunman.
Wow.
And it's an absolutely, I recommend it to anybody.
I might watch that over the weekend.
The parallax view.
Stop saying interesting things just as we're about to take a break. You could have started that at 11:05. There's no point warming up, you know. Right, I need a band from speaking before you come on air from now on the day, of course. Michael Leddy, thank you very much, writer and blogger. Appreciate it greatly. Fionnuala Rabbit, as always, thank you very much indeed. We're back with more in the 9 till noon show after the break.
The 9 till noon show brought to you by Kelly's Toyota, Port Road, Letterkenny, with offers on a wide range of passenger and commercial vehicles.
Inish Fitness Dunlow is offering a free fitness plan tailored to you with every 6 or 12-month membership purchased in January. Call in to Inish Fitness Dunlow to find out more.
Donegal's second game in the Dr. McKenna Cup is this Saturday afternoon, with Declan Bonner's side facing Antrim in Port Glenone. There'll be full match commentary with Oisín Kelly and Martin McHugh from the 1:30 throw-in online on our website, highlandradio.com. Coverage is in association with Highland Motors Letterkenny, main dealer for Citroën cars and commercials in Donegal. Citroën Berlingo vans are now back in stock. Order yours today by contacting Damien at Highland Motors.
Is your water safe to drink? If your water tastes unpleasant or has a foul smell, it may be a sign that something is in your water. Brothers Tech Donegal provide a complete private well water treatment service using the best water treatment equipment to meet your needs. Or maybe you drilled a new well and the water isn't satisfactory. At Brothers Tech, their expert team will also service existing problematic systems. If you're concerned about the quality of your water, call Brothers Tech on 087 638 7057.
Cooney's Furniture at Letterkenny Retail Park January sale is now on. You'll find everything for your home has been reduced, with massive savings on suites, tables, beds and accessories. But hurry, only while stocks last. Call in today and treat your home with a visit to Cooney's Furniture.
Does your local area suffer from the lack of amenities, safe outdoor areas, disused space? Is the climate crisis affecting you locally? Are there other challenges facing your community? Join a free Innovating Communities course and tackle these issues, learning valuable new skills along the way. It's time to design think outside the box. Contact Simon from DLDC to start solving your community's challenges today. Call 086 10 20 281 or innovating.ie to find out more.
In harsh winter weather, Watson Hire have all you need to stay safe and keep warm. There's great deals on coal, Calor gas, firewood and heating oil with free local delivery. Also electric, fan, halogen and oil-filled heaters. See in-store and the fuel store at watsonhire.ie. Great offers on winter clothing and boots. And for any hire items, there's still the weekend hire deal of 3 days for the price of one. All at Watson Hire, Kiltoy, Letterkenny, with free parking at the door.
Okay, that's where we have to leave it on the programme. Have a great weekend, everyone. Thanks for your ears and your eyes listening and watching us, and your support and your texts. It's greatly appreciated. We return on Monday morning, all being well, at 9 for another week of the 9 till noon show. Stay tuned. Friday's edition of the 9 till noon show. Friday's edition of Around the Northwest with John Bressens